San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And happy Wednesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. A couple of people in the chat are not going to like what we're about to say.
So what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the great game in Lubbock last night? Huh? No? Nobody? Okay.
Hofstra
All right.
plays tonight, sorry.
Oh, my bad. My apologies. Not my week to watch Hofstra. But I do want to start the show off with a big happy birthday to my dad, Mike Surprenant. Big happy birthday to Mike. Big round of applause to Mike for turning, I won't say how old he is. Great man, great father to us three kids. Great influential part of my life. Obviously, I've learned so much from my dad, and so we're going to celebrate later. As he's going to have a great day today. He's going to have a great day today. Him and my mom and my brother are going to do some cool stuff today. So I will be joining them later. But a big happy birthday to Mike out there. Big happy birthday. All right, let's get into what we actually want to talk about. Before we get to that, we're going to tease the rest of the show. I'll let you Aztec fans kind of settle in for a second. We got spring training continuing. Padres won yesterday. How about that?
Happy Craig Stammen Day.
Happy Craig Stammen Day. Happy Craig Stammen Day. We're going to hear from Craig Stammen today. Who knows? Maybe we will. Padres looking for a fifth starter, not necessarily a sixth. We'll talk about that. Griffin Canning threw the other day. Logan Gillespie impressed. We're going to talk about that. We didn't get to yesterday, Fernando Tatis Jr. being ready for the World Baseball Classic. Hey, anybody watch the Tigers play the Dominican yesterday? What a fun atmosphere that was. Wow. What a fun atmosphere that was. That was fun. We'll get you a preview of what's going on in the WBC. We'll talk about, we didn't get to this last week, but there were some leaks about the salary cap. There were some leaks about the salary cap that came out in Major League Baseball. And we're going to talk about that in the 1 o'clock hour. And we got a special guest today. Josh Nelson will join us in studio for a little bit. The comedian that we have had on before. He's a local comedian, big Padres fan. Got to hear some fan takes, if you will. A little fun on a Wednesday, Frank. Little mix up, little fun on a Wednesday that we're looking forward to later on in the show. I heard it's also his birthday today, too.
Oh, wow.
Think about a lot of important people are born in the month of March, and apparently this week. So happy birthday to Josh Nelson out there who'll be joining us later on the show. All right. Have I stalled enough time here for the Aztec fans? Have I, Frank? Is it time to get into it?
I think it's time. I think we've passed on the Raleigh Fingers Day celebration long enough. I think it's Aztec time.
Go Aztecs. You could stall a few more hours. Probably not going to do that. Let's just say it. That was it. That was San Diego State's last real chance to prove they deserved an at-large bid. And they got worked. An 86-77 loss at Boise State in a game that was, quite frankly, never competitive. They never led. They trailed by as many as 21. They were down 22-5 before fans had even found their seats at Extra Mile Arena. And the only reason it wasn't a double-digit loss was because Reese Dixon Waters hit a three at the buzzer when everybody was already walking towards the handshake line. You don't get style points for fighting when you're already down 20. And here's the hard truth. That game solidified what has been a more than disappointing season for San Diego State. Because this wasn't supposed to be the year that San Diego State was clawing and scratching for relevance. This was supposed to be the year they built on the foundation of being one of the premier programs in the country. Not just the Mountain West, but the country. 2 years ago, this program was playing for a national championship. 2 to 3 years ago, the Aztecs were 40 minutes away from potentially hanging a banner that would have changed the entire trajectory of mid-major basketball. And now they're hoping New Mexico loses. They're hoping, Utah State stumbles. They're hoping the committee gives them the benefit of the doubt. That's not the standard anymore, or at least it shouldn't be. Let's talk about what happened last night, because it wasn't complicated. San Diego State got embarrassed in the two areas that define their identity: defense and rebounding. Boise State shot over 52% from the field. They went 12 of 25 from three. They scored 86 points, the most San Diego State has allowed in 53 conference games. But the real stat, 37 of 15 on the glass. 37 of 15. You cannot call yourself San Diego State and get out-rebounded by 22. You cannot give up 12 offensive rebounds and 21 second chance points and talk about we fought. Fighting is diving on the floor. Fighting is finishing possessions. Fighting is imposing your will. That was not a fight. That was survival. And this is now back-to-back games allowing 80-plus points. Opponents are averaging over 80 a game over the last 4. This is not Aztec basketball. And I'll say something that might make people a little uncomfortable. When you lose your identity, you lose your margin for error. For years, San Diego State has survived offensive droughts because they guarded and they rebounded like their lives depended on it. They didn't need to shoot 50%. They didn't need NBA-level shot creation. They needed toughness. Now, they're getting bullied on the boards. That's a problem. That's a organizational problem for Aztec basketball. And before anybody twists this, okay, I'm not saying it's time to move on from Brian Dutcher. Absolutely not. That would be insanity. The man has built one of the most consistent programs in America, stemming off of what Steve Fisher built. But what I am saying is it might be time to evolve what the Aztecs are doing and the philosophy of what makes Aztec basketball great. Because college basketball has changed. The transfer portal has changed roster construction. NIL has changed recruiting battles. Experience is being bought and sold every offseason. And maybe, just maybe, San Diego State needs to rethink how they attack this. For years, the formula has been development, find tough, under-recruited guys, redshirt them, build them, turn them into pros. That formula still works, but it works best when you have time. The portal era doesn't allow you to have time. This year's team, it feels caught between identities. Not dominant defensively, not elite offensively, not deep enough physically, not skilled enough to outscore people when the defense breaks down. And that's how you end up 19-10 and 13-6 in conference and sweating out Selection Sunday if you don't make a run at the Mountain West tournament. If you want to be a premier program, and I think San Diego State is one and wants to be one, making the tournament with this roster should not have been this hard. Yes, being a mid-major is difficult. Yes, replacing NBA-level talent isn't easy. Yes, sustaining success after a national title run is rare, but you don't get to use those excuses when you're elevated the brand, when you have elevated what San Diego State basketball is. When you've been on Monday night in April, when you've been proven you could beat Alabama, Creighton, FAU in the Final Four, when you've shown you can win in March, the expectation changes. And that's a good thing. But expectations come with accountability. Losing 4 of 5 at the most inopportune time, that's not bad luck. That's kind of who you are. Getting 20-pieced in the second half in Boise, that's not a bad night. That's a team that doesn't know what is right now. And I keep going back to one play. Miles Bird with the steal, uncontested dunk, doesn't finish. They had cut it to 5. That was the moment. That was the spark. Missed. And they never got closer than 7 again. That's the season of one play. Opportunity there, momentum there. The moment was there, and it slips. Now, yes, they still have the Mountain West tournament in Vegas. They have a top 4 seed. They have a bye. They could see Boise State again. And technically, yes, they could win 3 games and steal the bid. But let's be honest with each other here. The way they're playing right now, there is no shot they make a run. Not defending like this, not rebounding like this, not giving up 80-plus points like this. March rewards teams that know who they are. San Diego State doesn't know who they are right now. And that's the part that should concern Aztec fans. Because this isn't about one loss. It's about trajectory. Boise State started 1-5 in conference and went 10-3 down the stretch. San Diego State was 12-2 and humming and then lost 4 of 5. That's regression. That's peaking in January instead of March. It's backwards. So here's the question moving forward. Does San Diego State double down on this traditional blueprint, or does it adapt? Do you get more athleticism in the portal, more rebounding, more size, more offensive creators? Do you chase proven production instead of development projects? Because the Mountain West, and really, quite frankly, because you're moving to the Pac-12, the Pac-12 is not standing still. Utah State isn't standing still. You know for a fact Gonzaga is not going to stand still. Boise State isn't standing still. And if the goal is just to compete for the league, fine. But if the goal is to be what the program has proven it can be, a national factor, then the bar has to be higher than a 19-10 and hoping for chaos. This season isn't over technically. They can beat UNLV on senior night. They could go to Vegas. They can shock all of us. But belief isn't blind optimism. Belief is based on evidence. And the evidence right now says this team has lost the pillars that made it dangerous. Defense, rebounding, physicality. If they don't rediscover that in the next week, this ends quietly. No at-large, no miracle, just an off-season full of uncomfortable questions. And maybe that's not the worst thing. Because sometimes embarrassment forces evolution. And if San Diego State wants to stay where it climbed to 2 years ago, near the top of college basketball, it might be time to rethink how they build the next one. That's the conversation today. Did they blow it? And if they did, what has to change so this doesn't happen again? That's where I'm at right now with Aztec basketball. Tell me what you think. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. What do you think, Frank? What did you think out of that? Out of last night?
It was just an embarrassing performance, left, right, and center, everywhere. I mean, I was working on other things, and I turned the game on in the second half, and they were down 22. I'm like, wait a minute. This was not the way it was supposed to go. You were expecting a close game, competitive game. Then you look deeper. They never had a lead at any point. They were just consistently behind. It was not a good night for San Diego State, and it really asked the question, why bother? Why bother winning the Mountain West Championship? Because you're going to be one and done at this rate in the NCAA tournament. You've proven it you proved it in non-conference play that it's going to be a very, very bad time for you against teams that have shown more easily that they are in the tournament. And now you're going to go and actually play in the tournament. You're a one-and-done team. That's all there is to it. It was not a good night, and you proved that last night in Boise State. That was a game that at least should have been closer than it was, if not winning it. And we talked about it to close out the show yesterday, how important it was to win that game last night to your March Madness, to your Selection Sunday chances. And you not only lost it, but you laid an egg uncompetitively. That is the biggest problem out of San Diego State right now. They were uncompetitive last night in their most important game of the year.
Yeah, they needed that one. And here's the thing. I don't know, in this day and age of college basketball, with the amount of money that schools can spend on players, you got teams that are loaded with big physical athletes that San Diego State does not have. I'm telling you, like, if you don't, it's not going to get better in the Pac-12. I mean, we haven't heard anything about the details of the Pac-12 TV contract, but you have to remember this for all the Aztec fans that think, well, we're going to be in this better basketball conference and the metrics are going to be better and this and that. Gonzaga is going to dominate that conference because they're going to use all the money that they've been promised that's football money and pump it into basketball. They're getting a pay raise. They're getting a pay raise. And Gonzaga already is one of the best teams in the country. Like, if you want to be a flag bearer of the Pac-12 in basketball, the new formed Pac-12 in basketball, and I think they have the ability to do that, you're going to have to figure out a way to get some players that are the size of Gonzaga's players. You got to find it. You got to be able to get a guy like Graham Ike, which, I mean, he's got his cons to him being on the team as well. But you don't think Gonzaga's not going to be able to find better players by being upgraded to this conference than they already have? With more money on top of the fact that they already have the donations and everything they need for NIL, you don't think they're going to get better? I mean, San Diego State's in a tough spot right now because they have regressed since the NCAA tournament where they went to the national championship. And by the way, they were going to go back to the national championship the next year, but they went from national championship appearance to Sweet 16 to first four getting blown out to now not making the tournament. I mean, for a program that has been as good as it has, it's starting to regress in terms of what they've accomplished, and it needs to be better. And the other schools in town are going to start spending money, and they're going to catch San Diego State very quickly unless they can go out there and spend the money and get some bigger players. They're going to have to do that. It's the reality of the situation because I don't know how many more times you could sit there and watch this and just be like, everything's fine. It's not. It's not fine. It's just not fine. They did not play well again. I mean, you could hear the post-game press conferences from guys like Miles Bird. They're like, I still think we're the best team in the conference. I mean, you didn't prove it. Over the last 5 games, you've lost 4 of them, and you had the one great win against Utah State at home, but you got to be able to do that on a consistent basis. And last night was rough. But I think, this might be what San Diego State is in this day and age of NIL. I mean, they're already spending money. They're already trying to use their resources. I mean, they're trying to do everything they can to have a competitive team. But I find it hard for them to be able to continue what they've done that's made them successful in this day and age of college athletics. And that, to me, is what needs to change with Aztec basketball. I think this offseason is very important for San Diego State. When we come back, we'll get your phone calls on the Aztecs. We will also start diving into some Padres baseball. Padres had a game yesterday. We'll tell you what stood out to us in the game, plus your phone calls on the other side. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number sports station, 97 through the Fan. Dramatic week across the board for the Toreros. Record-setting shooting nights, blown leads, emotional senior day moments, walk-off baseball games, and a softball bounce back. Now everything shifts towards postseason play and conference positioning. Let's break it down for USD. Let's start with men's basketball. Historic shooting, tough finishes. The headline game of the week came on the road against the Oregon State Beavers. USD erased an 8-point deficit in the final 39 seconds of regulation, drilling 4 3-pointers in that span to force overtime. Part of a program record 18 made threes on 43 attempts. Tenari Lane had a career-high 24 points. Juan Gorosito added 17. 12 of USD's second-half field goals were from beyond the arc, but in overtime, 0 for 7 from 3, 4 total points. Oregon State won 92-82, which led to a weekend game against Portland, Frank.
Yeah, that weekend game against Portland, USD led by 14 points in the second half before surrendering a 22-0 run in an 87-74 loss. Torero shot 53% and dished 24 assists, but turnovers in the second half, defensive breakdowns, absolutely flipped that game around.
And the result of that is San Diego will play in the first round of the West Coast Conference tournament, something they've been trying to avoid the entire season, and playing on that Thursday night, which is very tough to do because they're going to have to play 6 games in a row if they want to, if they want to win the West Coast Conference tournament. So one game at a time, but a tough seed. They got the 11 seed in the WCC tournament. And we'll see what happens in the final kind of games of the Steve Lavin era before they decide to hire a brand new head coach for basketball. Women's basketball, a senior day response. I think the women's team has been gritty all season long. They've hung tough all season long. They had a tough outing against Oregon State last Thursday, who is one of the best teams in the conference. And if it wasn't for a 3-game losing streak, the Oregon State Beavers would have been right there for West Coast Conference championship. Instead, LMU wins it, who the women's team for USD actually beat this year at home at the Jenny Craig Pavilion. But that was a tough game. Oregon State's got length. They got tall players, a lot bigger size than USD's women's team. They beat them 83-49 after what was a slow start and a difficult fourth quarter. But senior day told a different story. They honored 2 seniors on senior day, the Rhodes sisters, Haley Rhodes and Jaden Rhodes. Haley Rhodes had 18 points in the game, was the player of the game. But it wasn't just her. A couple of freshmen, Frank, also did really well, and Olivia Owens and Jessica Ajayi.
Yeah, Olivia Owens had 17 points, 10 rebounds, double-double for her, and then Ajayi goes out there and hits the go-ahead 3 as USD was able to rally late against Pacific, 64-59, closing out the regular season on a very emotional high before heading to the West Coast Conference tournament in Vegas.
They also will open up on a Thursday. Their game will be at 2:30 on Thursday in round 1 of the West Coast Conference tournament. There was a lot of chaos in the WCC for women's basketball, but USD wasn't going to be able. They weren't going to fall nor gain a spot with the result on Saturday. Baseball had a tough week. After a really good start to the year. They lost to UCSD on Tuesday in a 4-hour and 50-minute game over at Triton Ballpark. They answered that with a walk-off win in extra innings of their own. So they had back-to-back games of 10 innings where they were able to knock down Michigan on a C.J. Moran walk-off single. After that, tough sledding for the Toreros against the Michigan team that looked like they were very angry after the first night.
Yeah, they lost the next 2 games, 9-0 and then 9-2. Bright spots, though, Aiden Howard extending his on-base streak to 11 games. Connor Mydroth, has a hit in every single appearance so far, and also crowd showing up as well. 4 straight 1,000-plus members in the crowd for a non-conference weekend for USD baseball. That's rarefied air for them.
Yeah, they had a big student section presence on Friday night. I mean, more than 1,200 fans packed Fowler Park, and a lot of students in the bullpit that were giving Michigan a lot of problems. I heard a lot of stories about the Michigan players having a bad time with a lot of frat guys over there for USD. So rowdy crowd on Friday led to a win. Didn't have the rowdy crowd on Saturday and Sunday, but still had a lot of good people there at Fowler Park. A tough weekend series, but San Diego will try to bounce back. This week against Cal, it's a 4-game series that starts on Friday. They're going to play a game Friday, a doubleheader on Saturday, and the game on Sunday up at Berkeley before playing USC next Wednesday at brand new Dado Field after it was remodeled. So a lot of opportunities for the Toreros still early in non-conference play. As for softball, early punch, strong rebound. Softball opened the week with a 5-0 loss to crosstown rival San Diego State after broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. Yeah, I hope. Did we get an update on the Pelican? Is he okay? Is the Pelican? Is he or she okay?
I think the Pelican is fine, and like many Twitter accounts are saying right now, more field time in 2026 than Jerks at Pro 4.
Ouch. God, Topper. You know what? I guess nothing's off limits for the guy that cheated twice.
No, twice in a year. Twice within a calendar year.
Did you see the Braves, by the way? Did you see the Braves statement they put out?
Yes, I did.
It was like they copy and pasted it from the year before.
Let's just read it because
do you have both of them?
I do not have both of them. No, I've got, if you want to take a look at the one from last year, because I'm just going to go back in our text for the one that's this year.
Just to recap, a Pelican at the UCSB LMU baseball game yesterday was flying through. I don't know how he got stuck, but he got stuck in the net.
Yep, in
the batter's net, backstop. Which the Coastal Commission over there is going to lose their mind because UCSB laid down turf because they wanted turf over there, and they paid for it, and then the Coastal Commission made them tear it up because they have, quote, too many turf fields over there.
Cool.
It wasn't natural to the environment. Now they got Pelicans running into fences.
Neither are backstop nets, so
yeah,
folks sitting behind, watch out.
Sorry, we're making that out of seaweed now. Fits the environment more over there in Santa Barbara. Good luck. That might be one of the worst ballparks I've ever called a game at.
Really?
Yeah, Hohokam Stadium, whatever it's called. People are like, oh, it's so great. The views are awesome. There's no bathrooms there.
Oh,
they don't have bathrooms in the stadium. How do you not have a bathroom in the stadium? You have to walk across an open field park to the far end of a park and use a park bathroom and then come back into the stadium. It's about a it probably takes you like 3 or 4 minutes to get to the bathroom and then back. You got to wait in line to get back into the facility. How they hosted a regional, by the way, I have no idea.
Oof.
I have no idea. All right.
Speaking of here's the statement from the Braves yesterday. We were incredibly disappointed that Jurickson tested positive for performance-enhancing substance and is in violation of MLB's drug prevention policy and treatment program. Our players consistently educated about the program and the consequences if they are found to be in violation. The Atlanta Braves fully support the program.
I'm pretty sure they put that almost word for word from last year. I didn't hear Chris Sale talk about it yet. I mean, there's some videos popping out. I'm sure Chris Sale's got some interesting things to say about Jurickson Profar. I mean, I was listening to Sam and Scraby talk about this yesterday when I was driving around. It's true. I mean, we talked about the contract stuff. We talked about the entire situation of like, how can you leave all that money on the table again? Sam brought up the whole entire situation of, well, what about all the players that are like counting on him to like be part of the team this year?
Yep.
I mean, thanks a lot, dude. Terrible. All right, let's get to some of these phone calls from the Aztec. Magic, give us a call back. Sorry, we distracted Magic with the Pelican stuff. Give us a call back, Magic, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's start down to the South Bay. Clay, what's going on, buddy? How we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing fine. I'm just gonna rant, if you don't mind, real quick about the Aztecs.
All right, what do we got here? What do we got on the rant? You know what? Sometimes we got to be the therapist, the sports therapist for the local sports fans here. Let it out, buddy. Let it out. It feels better when you let it out.
I was going to say, what does Clay have to rant about? Ohio State beat Purdue over the weekend.
That's right. They're going to be in, Clay. They're bubble in.
Yeah. But we're talking Aztecs. We're talking local team. We're talking right here in good old San Diego. I've watched them the whole year, and the one thing that I've noticed for the whole year is, they don't have a starting five. They don't have anybody they put out there every single damn game with expectations of scoring and grabbing rebounds. That's number one. Number two is you got 15 guys doing 15 guy things. I think coaching this year, honestly, was lackluster. They didn't coach. They just let people come in and play. Oh, it's your turn to go in. Let's go in and see if you can grab some boards. Oh, don't grab boards. I mean, and Braden, that's my biggest thing watching the Aztecs, even under Dutcher and under his predecessor, they did grab boards. But under Dutch, they just don't seem to care about grabbing rebounds and banging the board and getting the ball back and driving down, set up your shots, and go in and make your point. You don't have to sit on the outside and throw threes all damn day, especially when you're just clanking them. I mean, I'm just upset with the Aztecs. If they don't make it in, they deserve to not make it in, and they might want to consider, the AD might want to consider thinking about getting a different coach, go a different direction. And NIL has ruined it, because I think that the reason that they don't go to to step 5 is they don't want anybody to stand out, because that standout good players might actually grow interest on somebody else's NIL roster.
Clay touched on a lot of things. I'm gonna touch on some of those things too. I don't think changing. Here's my entire. I like Brian Dutcher. I think he is the best man at this point in time. I think he's one of the best coaches in college basketball to represent your university with the class that he does. I have not seen him erupt at a press conference. I have not seen him, embarrass the university in any type of way. He has good teams. He has great teams. I think he is the best fit for San Diego State. I really do. Now, and I don't want to make excuses for Brian Dutcher nor his coaching staff, because I think his coaching staff is really good as well. Their style of play, in my opinion, Frank, is what they have to do to get talented players to go to San Diego State. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's a way for them to get talented players to go to San Diego State.
Yeah, if you're a little bit more lax in your coaching style, I think you do have a little bit more of a chance to draw players in. San Diego is only such it is a draw. Don't get me wrong. Playing in San Diego, being in San Diego, it's a draw, no doubt. But is it more of a draw than winning and being on a competitive team and not being on a bubble watch and knowing that you're going to be in with a chance to win every single year? That is the question. That's the distinction that Dutcher and San Diego State have to make when going after some of these guys.
Here's my thing on exactly, like, I think it's about the players that you can recruit. I really do, and that's how they run their team. In order to get athletic players that are as talented and as athletic as Magoon Guath and Miles Bird and Reese Dixon Waters, a lot of these guys have cons to them, and that's why they're at San Diego State. I mean, it's the reality. For Magoon Guath, the guy unfortunately gets hurt a lot. He's not super built like a lot of the other big men in the power conferences. But you got to be able to find some of these players. I mean, in order to get athletic players and keep them here, you kind of have to run what the Aztecs run. It's not ideal. You're not going to get players to completely buy into everything you're doing unless you're a team like Arizona or Michigan or one of these top premier programs that also can spend a lot of money. It's the whole Tom Brady effect, right, Frank? Players that were really good,
we're willing to take
less
pay cuts
money,
to play. Yep.
And they would follow the rules to play for Tom Brady and play for the New England Patriots. Let's look at Randy Moss.
I was going to say.
Randy Moss.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, with Terrell Owens, not Terrell Owens. Chad Johnson was who I was thinking of.
Chad Johnson, one of the two. Randy Moss was a problem with the Raiders, was he not?
Yes, he was.
He was a problem. The Raiders weren't that well run of an organization. They really had nothing going for them, right? He was a problem for them in terms of a lot of different things. He goes to New England. Did he have any problems in New England? No, he broke records. He bought into what Bill Belichick and Tom Brady were doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He took a little less money to do that. Okay? So the same thing. Organizations. All right? Like, San Diego State's a well-run organization. They're a well-run basketball program. So don't compare them to the Raiders. I was just using that as an example. But the difference is, to get those kids, it costs you way more money now because you have the schools like, and not even like Arizona. Like, Arizona's always been able to pay for the best athletes in basketball. They've always had that, even with Lute Olson, and then on to, through Sean Miller. I mean, Sean Miller got kicked out of Arizona for doing stuff that's legal now. And I didn't even think he was found guilty of anything that he was accused of doing. I mean, Arizona's always been able to pay for the best players. But for San Diego State to get the players that, and it doesn't have to be Arizona. I mean, Arizona is one of the top 5 teams in the country. But if you start looking at the other schools in the Big 12, you got to try to get those guys. And you can't get those guys without money. I mean, I'm telling you right now, like just watching TCU basketball, who has bigger and better players than San Diego State does, and they're a mid-tier Big 12 team, they hash out a ton of cash to get those guys. So it's either going to be cash or You do what some of these West Coast Conference schools do, and you go like, you know what? We're going to get these guys after they're going to be grad students. They're going to come back and they're going to be just older players, or I'm going to pump a ton of time and effort into this young kid that didn't have an opportunity to play at UCLA, and then I have to know that he's gone in a year. That's kind of what your situation is for San Diego State. So as much as you want to really criticize what Brian Dutcher has done on offense, I'm telling you, I get it. I understand, like, oh, you can't do this. You can't get kids to play for you if you do that stuff. That you can't. That's the situation they're in right now. Yeah, in an ideal world, it would be better if they ran an offense. It would be better if they took care of the little things. You could do that when you're developing players and they don't have the ability to leave whenever they want. You don't have the ability to really hold players accountable without them leaving and then changing their ways to go play for a bigger organization that will go, if you don't work out here, you ain't working out anywhere. That's kind of where San Diego State is at right now. The schools that are doing well in the mid-majors, they got old players. And unless San Diego State goes that route, or they invest a ton of money in a young kid to stay there for a long time, I don't know what they can do to be competitive with trying to get some different type of look to their team. I really don't. We got to take a break. Kevin, Dexter, we'll get to you when we come back as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. It's our final deadline week, if you will, for the winter sports. We are officially in deadline week for the NHL, and this is where front offices decide, are we going for it or are we folding it? Friday at noon Pacific is the trade deadline. Some big names have already moved, including Artemi Panarin landing with the Los Angeles Kings. Got his coach fired at that point.
Yes.
But this week is about who's willing to take the big swing, because in today's NHL, fortune favors the bold. And we'll talk about the local aspect too with the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, the Ducks made a lot of moves the last couple of years in shipping off talent. I'm curious to see if they're going to start acquiring some talent, but there are some teams now where the clock is ticking, starting with the Edmonton Oilers, who are now dropped behind the aforementioned Anaheim Ducks in the standings.
Yeah, so let's start with the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid gave this franchise 2 more years on a team-friendly deal. That's basically flashing red sirens saying, win now. But the problem is your goaltending right now. Tristan Jarry has a .860 save percentage since arriving in a trade that swapped the 2 goaltenders between them and Pittsburgh earlier this year. That's not just shaky. That is a playoff killer right now. They're giving up the most high danger goals in the league. If you're serious about winning the Stanley Cup, you cannot roll into April and hope the goaltending situation figures itself out.
Well, yeah, and then Jerry got pulled from the game against Anaheim last week, and then they were able to bounce back against the Kings in the next game. But if Edmonton doesn't add either a legitimate goalie or a shutdown defenseman by Friday, they're wasting a Connor McDavid prime year.
Yep.
And we say it on the open all the time. You cannot waste a Manny Machado prime year.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Edmonton, you can't be wasting Connor McDavid prime years. That is organizational malpractice.
It's like doing something as ridiculous as wasting the prime of Mike Trout.
Oh,
wait a minute. Hold on.
The Angels did that.
Staying in the West, the Seattle Kraken right now, sitting in a wild card spot. They've been gritty. They've been tough. They're winning games 2-1, 3-2. Issue for them right now is that no one has over 40 points. Nobody has on the team has over 40 points, and they only have one 20-goal scorer. They've aggressively sued Artemi Panarin. They really they were ready to pay him. So that tells you that they are ready for a superstar. Wondering if a guy like Nazem Kadri could be an option for them, might bring a cup ring and some bite. But the reality in this league, you do not win without elite game breakers. And right now, Seattle just does not have those.
Yeah, Seattle can sneak into the playoffs as constructed, but they won't scare anyone without a top-tier offensive star. If they stand pat, they're playing for competitive, but not for the cup. And that's what everybody is playing for in the NHL. Is it time to retool if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs? It's a fascinating one, Frank, because for years, people have said that they were regular season kings who disappeared in the playoffs, and now they might not even get there. They might even make the playoffs. Austin Matthews is captain Team USA to Olympic gold. He's doing his part, but the roster around him is very much underachieving. Pending unrestricted free agents everywhere, restricted free agent questions. This feels like a franchise at a crossroads.
Yeah, it certainly does. And the thing about the Toronto Maple Leafs at this point is they've had to lose guys because they don't have enough money in the cap. They lost Mitch Marner to Las Vegas because of that, and they chose to keep guys like William Nylander around, and it really has not worked out for them. Toronto right now should sell, not tear it down, but just reset the depth, reverse the usual add at the deadline trend, because this group as constructed has gotten to its peak. It has plateaued, and the Maple Leafs really just cannot go much farther than where they're at with the team as it is right now.
As for the Pittsburgh Penguins, one more swing for the Pens. Surprise team. Pittsburgh Penguins, second in the Metro, $10.5 million in cap space. Sidney Crosby motivated after missing the Olympic gold medal game. If you're general manager Kyle Dubois, why wouldn't you swing big and add a shutdown defenseman, add another scorer? This isn't a rebuild roster. This is a one more ride roster with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And if Pittsburgh stands still, that's conservative thinking, and conservative thinking doesn't win championships.
No, it does not. And a lot of the core guys on that roster, if you're thinking about a positive, if they don't go for it, you're not like, oh, this guy has been here for so many years, he's gotten so close. It's not an Alexander Ovechkin situation where he's gotten here, he's been here his whole career, he's gotten so close, he just hasn't won that ring yet. Pittsburgh's won a couple in this Crosby, Malkin, Letang era. So they have taken it home. They do know what to do in order to get it. They just have to be willing to do it, as a lot of these guys of this core hit the twilight of their careers.
Let's talk about the wild card watch. And there's some games to keep an eye on this week. The Los Angeles Kings are 3 points out, but they got a tough schedule coming up. San Jose, 5 points back, but Macklin Celebrini is leading the charge for them. Columbus Blue Jackets, 7-2-1. We're going to get to Padres baseball here in a second. Blake, Blake's on a roll right now. Guys got great takes so far in the YouTube chat on 97.3. And unrelated note, Manny Tatis look awesome right now on the DR team. Yeah, that was fun last night. Was that not fun?
It was.
That's the best part about WBC action. And that was a game that doesn't even count. That was like a tune-up game against the Tigers. You get that playoff level atmosphere in those games, man. So much fun. You know what's not fun? Red Sox Yankees spring training. Nobody cares. People care, I guess, over there. How much S talk happens on the East Coast about Yankees Red Sox in a spring training game? Too much, probably. Turn your mic on.
These are the games that matter most. Forget. I mean, we could talk about the ALCS in 2003, 2004, all you want, but right here at JetBlue Park, this is where legends are made. Right here.
They're doing it without Aaron Judge. Arson Fudge playing for Team USA. Team USA's got the Rockies today. Oh my God. Can you talk about a more David and Goliath matchup, even though it doesn't count? It's an exhibition.
Can you talk about a tune-up game?
Oh my God.
That's a tune down game is what that is.
Oh my God. What a waste of time. How did the Rockies draw that? They couldn't play Nicaragua, who has never won a WBC game yet.
We've got lineups for that game as well. Would you care to
hang on to the? Yeah, we're going to tell you the line. We're going to get to some of these phone calls, the Aztecs, and we're going to transition back into baseball for relatively the rest of the show. But yes, I want to hear the Rockies lineup versus Team USA.
Augie Rockies in a walk-off.
That's possible. Anything's possible in these games when you're up 15-1 and you go to the 10th. Anything is possible. All right, let's get out to Dexter in Spring Valley. Dexter, what's going on, man?
Hey, before I get into my take, really quick, you guys are talking about the Rockies and Team USA being a tune-up game. No, it's going to be more of a tuna game because it's going to stink like the fish. But anyway, so
foul on the dad joke. It made me laugh, but foul. Oh my God.
But with regards to the Aztecs, your take when you started the show, you actually hit upon something about Dutcher probably having to break everything down and start almost from scratch. As soon as you said that, a movie from my childhood popped up into my brain. You could try to find, Google it or Wikipedia it. It's called Fast Break, and it starred Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back, Kotter, and he was like a inner city league coach, basketball coach, not a high school coach or whatever. And what happens is he gets recruited by this like C-tier college from Texas because they lost all their athletic programs in a scandal and everything. And he wants to start by building basketball because it's the cheapest thing. You only need like 6 or 7 players, right?
Correct.
And that's where he wants to build. And so he hires Gabe Kaplan to be the recruiter and the coach for his team. And Kaplan goes and he basically grabs these guys, these kids that he, that grew up, in his city leagues. And he gets them scholarships and he hauls them all off to Texas. And, and all that. And that kind of reminds me of what Dutcher needs to do because he's basically operating off of the same budget that, that coach in that movie is operating off of, which is practically nothing. And, he had to go and get these guys who were raw talent, disorganized, whatever. They all had their individual problems. But I think that's if Dutcher could watch that movie, because it's a comedy, it's like it was one of those B-tier movies from cable way back in the day when they were just like, any kind of movie they can get on cable, they would have. And I think if you look it up, I think that would be a great, inspiration for Dutcher to kind of start thinking, okay, where am I going to get these really raw guys with raw talent? Because it's obvious, going the traditional route, he's getting destroyed by NIL. And he needs to get something, where it's like these kids aren't being reached by the traditional NIL route, that they'd be happy to play ball and, get a scholarship to do it, So,
yeah, Dexter,
yeah, like
I appreciate the phone call. I don't know how many of those situations exist anymore in terms of extremely, especially with social media and stuff, Frank, extremely talented basketball players. These guys are all visible now. You can find these guys all over the place, and these teams find these guys fast. And not only that, these agents that are not even really agents find these kids fast and get them to these places. To be honest with you,
yeah, it's a thought for a bygone era. Unfortunately, it's what college should be, but it's not anymore.
But the thing that Dexter brings up, and I want to address this. I don't have answers for San Diego State. That's why they don't pay me to come up with the answers over there. But here's the dilemma that San Diego State is in right now. Their main sport that they're the best at is basketball. Does anybody agree? Does anybody disagree with that from a men's sport standpoint? I mean, in terms of the big sports that they have that can drive value and revenue, men's basketball is their most important sport.
Correct.
But the problem is football drives all decisions. And so they have football, which is getting better. And I like what Sean Lewis has done with the football program. I mean, they were close to getting to a Mountain West championship game, and we'll see how they do in the Pac-12 next fall. But the reality is they need their football program to get them into a better conference. That's what this is about. Because as people in the chat were discussing with NIL, in my opinion, has made the Power Four more balanced. Do you agree or disagree with that?
That NIL has made the Power Four
The
more
Power
balanced?
Four itself more balanced. Like
yes, it has
schools in
made-
the Power Four that were never really good are now competing. There's more of a balance of power between the SEC and the Big Ten. The Power Four schools are benefiting from the NIL. Yes?
100%, yes.
Totally agree with that.
Look at Indiana football.
Indiana football. You look at, just like some of these conferences in the Big 12 that are just feasting on each other. I mean, Kansas went down to Arizona State last night and ran out of the building. In fact, they ran Bill Self out of the building. I mean, everything's evenly matched in the Power Four. But for NIL, it has completely killed mid-major programs. It has completely killed mid-major programs because the Power Four can spend money on their athletes now, which is great. But they have all this money, this TV contract money. And then on top of that, they have all this donor money. For all of these mid-major programs, they don't have the TV money. They just have maybe the donor money, which will probably equal one of the things that the Power Four schools have. And then they still have that gigantic gap because they have two sources of income to dumb things down. And the mid-majors have basically collectively with everything equivalent of just one source of the Power Four income. That's the biggest difference. And so the biggest thing, again, with conference realignment is you got to get yourself into a power conference, and then you could sort it out after that, which I don't even think that ship might have sailed for San Diego State at this point, but that's what you needed to do. And so now it's, do we invest all our money in basketball or do we invest it in football? We have to be good in football to get into a power conference, but at the same time, this is our big-time program moneymaker is basketball. They have limited funds. They can't invest the same amount in both leagues. They can't do what Michigan does. Shoot, I don't even think they're going to be able to do what Gonzaga does next year. So it's a tough spot to be in because you got to elevate your athletic department to get to a Power Four level. You have to do that through football. But basketball is the sport that you have the best chance of being your number one program on campus. I don't have the answers for that. That's the question that needs to be answered over there at the Mesa. Otherwise, you're just kind of in sports purgatory right now in college athletics. Let's get to Kevin in Chula Vista. Kevin, what's going on today?
Wow, great morning. I would hope that we can continue this Aztec discussion a little bit longer because it's ignited some passion here, and everybody's bringing up great points. I would just say over under on the Rockies and Team USA. What do you think?
I give Team USA minus 2.5 runs.
All you guys running after FanDuel, going to put your money down. You might win a little bit of money today. So I had to laugh about that one. But look, let's get back to the Aztecs real quick. I understand, Braden, the argument about the macro picture of the NIL and having to compete against the powers. But you have to separate what's going on here. You're looking at a program that is struggling to compete in their own conference now that brought back the lion's share of that team from last year, not having a NIL problem of losing players. In fact, they increased some that were supposed to be these fantastic playground athletes. And don't forget, they were picked not only to take the conference, but to storm it. And this team has regressed all the way from the middle of the season, and it went backwards. That's what people are talking about. So when you're looking at what Dutcher needs to do, first of all, ask this question. Why is it that New Mexico, Utah State, Boise State, they can find shooters, rebounders, complete basketball players? We can't at this level. We're about at the same level of funding. We're about at the same level of recruitment activity. Yet these guys now, this year and late last year, surpassed us. That's the problem. So when you're looking at solutions, this coaching staff and program needs to have a stand down here and say, maybe we need to take a different look at what the other programs are doing to bring in and programs that are at their competitive level. They're finding basketball players, complete basketball players. San Diego State isn't. These are a bunch of one-dimensional playground players that frankly, let them go in the nil. We're not going to hear from them again, frankly. So you've got to take this program that is in danger of slipping and look at it from a holistic standpoint. This coaching staff has been around for a long time. They've done things a certain way. Now, as you pointed out correctly, the landscape has changed. Is that structure that they have of recruiting, of player evaluation, the whole damn thing needs to be looked at, because where they're headed right now is in a nosedive to God knows where. It's in the abyss. And that's where I'll leave it. And I hope that other people join in today. I welcome everybody. Let's talk about the Aztecs. Padres can wait. We've got 162 games to worry about the Padres. We got to worry about the here and now. Let's talk about Aztecs today.
Kevin, appreciate the phone call. The one thing that Kevin does bring up that I think is the most glaring part of this entire wake-up call is the fact that he's right on the sense that the other teams in the conference that you should be running past are competing with you now. And they're outdoing you at this point. Where's the, did we miss the?
Oh, yeah, we did. I've been working on other things.
Happens. I've done that a handful of times. The automation failed to shoot on its own.
Yeah, failed to automate.
Yeah. No, you can't trust the AI, man. You know what? You can't trust the AI.
Computers are meant to make everything easier.
Yeah, what the hell? What's going on? We'll get your phone calls when we come back. Frederick in San Diego, wait on hold. We'll get to you when you come back. We'll talk Padres baseball as well. Aztecs. A lot of people passionate about the Aztec hoops after last night.
Hey, it's Scravy, and if you've never heard of a conspiracy, then you need to tune into The Scravy Show. Weekdays from 6 to 7 p.m., I go down that rabbit hole and see what I can find behind it. It's conspiracy season on 97.3 The Fan.
When women rise, the game changes. Saturday, March 7th, come experience Major League Volleyball like never before. Watch the San Diego Mojo bring elite power, explosive speed, and next-level athleticism to the court. Thunderous serves, relentless defense, unmatched intensity. The first 1,000 women and girls receive a free t-shirt while supplies last. The action starts at 6 p.m. at VA House Arena. We're rising, San Diego. Get your tickets now at letsgomojo.com.
Can I get on your Wi-Fi? I totally forgot to bring my second SIM card.
Bienvenido. Please make yourself at home. On your right, you'll...
11 o'clock on a Wednesday. We got Padres in Great Britain today. Not only that, Joe Musgrove back on the hill, huh? It'd be good to see Joe back out there in a real game. Miss seeing Joe out there in real games. You saw him in the backfields. It's a little bit different. Still looks like practice. Got him in a real game. Walker Buehler starting tomorrow. We're going to talk more about that rotation coming up on later in the show. They've contemplated a 6-man rotation, but they're really trying to find that 5th starter before they even think about the 6-man rotation. So we'll keep you updated on what's going on with that and everything that we needed to take away from yesterday's game. That's coming up in this hour. But we had a lot of people passionate about Aztec basketball today, calling in, giving their thoughts. Obviously, last night was very disappointing. To really recap a disappointing season. Season's not officially over yet, but they got one last game on senior night here at Viejas Arena, and then they got to go win the Big West tournament. The Mountain West tournament. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Frederick in San Diego. Wants to join in. Frederick, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm doing well.
Hey, so I think there's a little bit of a misnomer here. I hear people talking about the NIL, and maybe that's an issue in the big picture for sure. However, this year that is not an issue. I've been watching this team for 25 years. I'm a season ticket holder. He's got 11 high-quality guys on this team, and I think personally, from what I've seen, there seems to be some sort of, I don't want to say backroom deals, but handshake deals, because he rotates guys in and out a lot where it doesn't make a lot of sense. You'll have 5 guys on the floor, they're running the score up, and then all of a sudden he switches out and puts guys in that really aren't doing very well overall and haven't earned the playing time. And I'm wondering if there's some deals that he's made on the side with guys like, hey, come to San Diego State, I'll guarantee you get 10 minutes a game, whatever it is. And I don't think we're privy to everything. I don't think the NIL contracts that these guys have necessarily reflect some of these handshake deals. And Dutch is such a loyal guy that he's gonna follow through on it. And I think it's been to the team's detriment this year, because instead of having 8 high quality guys on the court, we've got 11. And sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. And they give up leads, and then the guys on the bench get frustrated, and then they got to come out and try. It's just, there's no cohesion this year, I guess is my point.
Frederick, I think you're on the right track. I don't think it's backdoor deals. I just think it's a way to try to keep as many guys in this program as possible so they don't enter the transfer portal. I think he's trying to do so. I think he's trying to please everybody and keep them here. I don't think he's able to do that, though. Because in trying to please everybody, it seems like he is upsetting everybody instead of pleasing anybody. But I don't necessarily think it's like a handshake deal with the players. I think it's more of, this is what San Diego State has to do to try to keep players in the program as long as they can. Because this is a staff that's good at developing players. And it's hard to convince kids about development when they're getting offered a lot more money to go somewhere else. And sometimes they get overpaid to go other places because the other schools can pay more money. So it's not like they don't have NIL to spend. I do agree with you on that. They have the NIL. They're spending NIL money. Maybe they're spending the wrong guys, or maybe they are just trying to keep too many mouths fed. Maybe they're just trying to keep too many people happy. Frank, I think Frederick is on the right track here. I don't necessarily think it's a backdoor deal, but I think it's in a sense of they're trying to keep as many guys in the program as possible.
Yeah, I don't think San Diego State's doing anything like that. I think it's more, you're right. I think they're just trying to get as many people on the floor as possible. And also, I mean, it's also genuine just rotation. You're trying to get guys who aren't playing all that well. You're trying to get them in. You're trying to help them figure it out. So you build a little bit of a lead, and then you let them in, see if they figured it out. And I don't think it's anything nefarious. I think it's just they're trying to have success with what they have.
I think it's the game that San Diego State has to play, that a lot of other Mountain West schools have to play, that other schools are not playing. I mean, you look at Utah State, they've done a good job of getting guys in, but like the best players end up leaving for bigger schools, do they not? They have been. I think they're just trying to live in the NIL world while also living in the world that they were successful in. And it might be time to cut one of them and be all in on the other. Because you could go with the one and done team and get some young players. They're like, hey, you're going to play immediately and you could try to stay here. They're in a tough spot based on what the rules are for them compared to the Power 4 schools in terms of resources and everything. So, disappointing season for San Diego State. Any last words on the Aztecs from last night? We've said it. We've said everything we need to say.
This game now on Saturday against UNLV is more or less pointless. I mean,
it's kind of meaningless.
Yeah,
for sure.
Just,
I mean, they lose that
the
game. It's like, all right, whatever. But you're going to get a bye in the tournament, in the Mountain West tournament. You got to try to make the most in Vegas while you can. Maybe you win it for the seniors or something, and whatever. But that's about it with that game. Let's talk about yesterday. Padres beat the White Sox 4-3 at Camelback Ranch. And you know what? We talked about this yesterday on air because it was happening while we were on air. The Andujar Castellanos versus lefties platoon. That looked pretty good yesterday in back-to-back at-bats. I mean, Andujar got a knock, and then Castellanos drove him in on a home run. They were acquired specifically to hit left-handed pitching. Now, Castellanos is not like that much better against left-handers than he is against right-handers in comparison to a guy like Miguel Andujar. But still, that's what they were brought in to do. And that's exactly what they did in the first inning. Walk for Andujar, double for Castellanos. In the third inning, single for Andujar, homer for Castellanos, his first of the spring. All of their at-bats came against lefties, which was intentional for the Padres. And Andujar is now 5 for 17 with a home run this spring, and Castellanos is 4 for 16 with 2 doubles and a homer. That is exactly what you wanted these guys to come in here and do, and so far they're doing it. You're already getting some dividends right now on your investments and the return on your investment for Andujar and Castellanos. Obviously, in spring training, it doesn't matter, but hopefully it translates to the regular season.
Bless you. And yeah, this is exactly as you said. This is what you got Miguel Andujar specifically for. You got Nick Castellanos hopefully to help you. You got him basically on a free. So anything you get out of him is a bonus. But yeah, you want what you're seeing out of Miguel Andujar, especially this spring against left-handed hitters. Let me see what is he hitting against lefties?
Who, Andujar?
Yeah, so far this spring.
I mean, it's got to be pretty good because he's 5 for 17 with a home run in general.
Yeah, so
and I'm pretty sure that home run was against a lefty, and he had a good day yesterday.
Yes, it was.
I bet you his splits are pretty awesome. But this roster, as much as it seems like it's the island of misfit toys, this Padres roster, it's constructed by design. This is not an accident that Miguel Andujar and Castellanos are on this team and are playing against lefties. It's not an accident. It's not an accident. And they brought in Ty France, maybe to solidify the defensive side of things and increase competition at first base. I mean, they cast a wide net. And so far, some of the things that they have taken some risks on are starting to hit in spring training, at least to give themselves an opportunity to go into the regular season. And the Padres are really leaning into some matchup baseball with their platoon guys, which I don't mind. I'm not the biggest matchup guy in terms of righty-lefty. I just, for your stars, like, to me, if Jackson Merrill is one of your stars, he should be near the top of the order regardless if it's a righty or a lefty. That's my opinion. Like, Miguel Andujar or Nick Castellanos as an example, they're brought in to hit lefties. They have to hit lefties way better than Jackson Merrill for me to move Jackson Merrill down in the order just because he's a lefty going against a lefty. I'd rather have my stars up there than some platoon guys. That's what I mean by don't really buy into the whole matchup deal. I'll take the star over the matchup any day. But this isn't about everyday stars. This is about marginal gains and filling out a roster that's the most competitive it could be via righties, via lefties. And the question is, can you build a consistent offense around platoon edges? And right now, with the players that you have, with guys like Gavin Sheets and Ty France who can play against right-handers, and guys like Miguel Andujar and Nick Castellanos who can play against lefties, it's going to take up a spot on the roster potentially. But Frank, I like the way that they have put this thing together. And have you found the splits for spring training for these guys?
He is 4 for 6.
That's a pretty good start.
Against lefties, hitting .667, a .714 on base percentage, a 1.167 slug, 1.881 OPS, with a home run, an RBI, and a walk. It's a very small sample size.
Is that good,
but
Frank?
Man,
is that good? I think that's pretty good.
What's not really all that good is that he's 1 for 11 against righties.
Well, he's not going to be playing against righties.
Right,
so who
exactly.
Cares? That's what Gavin Sheets is for. It works out. As much as you worry about some of the lefties going against left-handers, I mean, you could do the same thing with Andujar. Guy's going to play against lefties. If he rakes it, that's all I care. That was the whole conversation about, do you bring in Paul Goldschmidt, right? What was the whole conversation? I don't need him to be Paul Goldschmidt.
No, you just need him to play against lefties.
I need him to be a good hitter against lefties. Is that worth $4 million? Maybe, maybe not. I don't need Nick Castellanos to be old Nick Castellanos. I need Nick Castellanos to be a first baseman that can hit left-handers. That's what I need Nick Castellanos to do. I don't need Miguel Andujar to be an everyday starter out there in the field. I don't need him to play corner outfield. I need him to be a DH against left-handed pitching. That's what I need. And so far, that's what's happening. Now, from a pitching standpoint from yesterday, Nick Pivetta. Presumably the opening day starter. Maybe. He threw 3 innings yesterday, 43 pitches, gave up 6 hits, 2 runs, a walk, and a strikeout. First inning, 4 singles, but limited damage. Pickoff saved them in that inning. Defensive help stopped a double steal in the second. He allowed a homer to Miguel Vargas in the third. Some of these guys at the top half of the rotation right now have had good starts, have had bad starts. Pivetta didn't have that great of an outing. I'm not worried about him regressing. And as I have responded to a couple of people in the chat already about certain players, you can't get super hyped about. We can't get super hyped about Andujar and Castellanos against lefties, Frank, just as much as you can't get overwhelmed that Nick Pivetta and Michael King had bad outings in spring training.
No,
not when they're working on things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I said about Michael King. If you see him throwing 10 sliders in a row, that's by design. He's either trying to work on the pitch, he's either trying to get a feel for it, he's trying to figure out what in-game adjustments are going to work for him, which ones aren't. There are things that pitchers are doing that they would never do during a regular season game, and you'll start to see them pitch a little bit more like they would in a regular season game towards the end of spring training. But right now, you cannot take anything that a pitcher is doing. You cannot take any stat line that a pitcher has that is locked into the organization like Michael King and like Nick Pivetta are at face value.
And the other thing too is, as Go S6 mentions, we will never know what they're working on. We will never know. We could kind of guess, we can assume, we could try to do our best to read in the tea leaves, but they ain't telling the people out there, and they're not telling the public what they're individually working on. It could be delivery, it could be simple mechanics. I mean, this is where you learn how to do stuff. It could be a new pitch that they're working on, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that these guys are working on, especially for the pitching side of things. I don't value the pitching as much as I do some of the hitting of getting guys right in the box and seeing if they can hit and all that sort of thing. Bullpen competition starting to heat up, Frank. Kyle Hart, 2 scoreless innings. He had a messy 5th, 2 walks and a balk, but he escaped it via a rundown and a strikeout. Adrian Morejon got to pitch for the first time. He gave up 2 doubles in 1 inning, but they're still bringing him back slowly because of the workload he had last year. So who knows what Adrian Morejon, I mean, that was his first outing since last October. Jeremiah Estrada allowed first base runners of the spring, but he stranded them. And Bradley Rodriguez, 4 scoreless innings this spring, 12 of 14 retired. I mean, these are players that are battling for spots. Not really Morejon. Estrada might be battling for back-end work, I would imagine, like high leverage stuff. Kyle Hart's trying to get on this team. Bradley Rodriguez is trying to get on this team. And right now the competition is feeding everybody because Logan Gillespie dominated 2 days ago. There's a lot of that going on. The bullpen, as good as we think the bullpen is going to be, Frank, it seems like it's going to be that much better because of the competition in the bullpen. And this is the competition that we haven't talked about as much because we know the bullpen's going to be really the biggest strength of this team. But you got 5, 6, 7 guys battling for one spot right now, assuming there's not preseason, or should I say opening day IL candidates on this bullpen.
And there's also a good amount of those guys that have options left, so they're in the Padres organization, whether they make the roster or not. There are some that aren't. I believe Gillespie is one of those guys that is out of options. But, yeah, there are a lot of guys waiting in the wings in that bullpen that are going to be here no matter what happens in spring training.
Eddie in the chat asked about Alex Verdugo. We talked about Alex Verdugo yesterday. It sounds like he's going to be a minor league guy.
Yeah.
They signed him to a minor league deal. He's not even in major league camp. He's in minor league camp. He's a super depth piece. The fact that he signed right now in spring and it was a minor league deal and he's in minor league camp tells you everything you need to know about what teams think of Alex Verdugo. I don't mind the risk for the Padres. We talked about this yesterday. Don't mind the risk for the Padres. But at the same time, you know everything you need to know about what clubs think about Alex Verdugo right now. Where will we come back? We're going to get to Joe Musgrove, watch, kind of preview what's going on today. We'll talk about the 5-man rotation later on in this hour. But Joe Musgrove's making his first stadium appearance after Tommy John. What to expect in today's game. We'll get to it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. It was a gritty, emotional week for the San Diego Gulls. 3 games, 2 overtimes, 4 total points on the table, and they grabbed 3 of them. And let's start at home. Overtime heartbreak versus Tucson. Gulls dropped a 2-1 overtime decision to the Roadrunners at Pechanga Arena, but it was another night where the goaltending stood tall. Callie Klang stopped 26 of 28 and flat out kept them in the game. Ryan Carpenter opened the scoring off of a feed from Justin Bailey. Carpenter now has 5 points in his last 4 games and 30 on the season. Tucson tied it late. They won it in overtime, but the Gulls still grabbed a point, and they're now 4-0-1-1 against Tucson this season, and that's not an accident.
No, absolutely not. They have been very, very good against Tucson. You could tell sometimes when a team just has your number, and it appears as though the Gulls just have the number of the Tucson Roadrunners.
On to the defensive statement in Texas. Then came the road trip. They knocked off the Texas Stars 2-1 in a disciplined playoff-style game. Klang again, rock solid. 28 of 29 saves. Now 13 wins on the season. 2.51 goals against average. Confidence is really radiating through this lineup.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And Nathan Gauthier answered Texas's early goal in the second, matching last season's goal total already this year. Justin Bailey hit the game winner. Big stat now is Bailey has now has 18 goals. 6 of those 18 goals are game winners, which is tied for second in the entirety of the American Hockey League. That is clutch production. And head coach Matt McIlvain called it a sound defensive effort as well. And that's really starting to become the identity of the San Diego Gulls team.
Let's talk about this 6-5 overtime loss. The Saturday night, the chaos ensued. 6-5 overtime loss to Texas in a back-and-forth shootout. Power play goals, shorthanded rush but from Tyson Hines, 2 goals from Nicolas Brulard, a fight from Ronald McEwen, 30 saves from Thomas Susanik. This one had everything. They led, they trailed, they tied it late to force overtime, but Texas finished it still 3 of 4 points on the road in Texas. That's significant. You'll take it if you're the Gulls right now.
Yeah, that is a huge, huge swing as far as the points are, as far as the standings are concerned. We talked about it being buried down in 6th place, but being very, very close to a big swing, and to be able to take 3 out of 4 from Texas is absolutely huge for this season for the Gulls.
bigger picture, the Golds are defending better right now. They're getting elite level goaltending from Kling, and they're finding timely scoring. They rank first in the AHL in shots per game. They're disciplined. They're playing tighter defensively than earlier in the year, but they're still struggling to close out high event games. And when it becomes wide open, they give up too much. When it's tight and structured, they thrive. That's a maturity thing. But this is a team that's very young and a team that finally gets to settle in. We've talked about this a lot on the goals updates. The Ducks are doing really well with young talent. And they are now a point out or a couple points out from first place in the Pacific Division, which means they don't have to keep pulling up players to help their team and compete at an NHL level. They have their core, and it's young, which means there's not a lot of places for these San Diego Gulls to go in advance. There might be a couple that come up and help and then come back down. But with that being said, this is a team that can finally start playing good hockey together as a unison. And now you might be getting sent down good players instead of sending all of your best players up to the NHL parent club.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that really stands out for me there is that they're ranking first in shots per game in the league. The more shots you get, the more likely it is for one of those shots to at least go in. And they've gotten a lot of timely goals, and we've seen over the last month or so of doing this, they've had a lot of high-scoring games, and a lot of that has to do with those high shot totals. So the fact that they're putting the puck on the net on a consistent basis night after night really shows how potent this offense is, and the fact that it's really helping them score goals. And also, you can't forget about the guy at the back.
Yeah, Kling's doing an unbelievable job for the Gulls this season. The Gulls currently in 6th place. That is a playoff spot. They have the lead over the Tucson Roadrunners, who are in the final playoff spot in the Pacific Division. And they've done really well against the Roadrunners, as I mentioned earlier in this update. They haven't lost to them yet in regulation. So something to pay attention to is they have 4 wins, no losses against the Roadrunners, 1 overtime loss and 1 shootout loss to Tucson. And they're right there in the thick of things in the Pacific Division. They're 12 games out of first place from Ontario, 11 from Colorado. But then you start looking, they're 6 points behind the Barracuda in 3rd place, which puts you in a position to host. And it's very beneficial for you in the AHL playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just 3 games. You get 2 points for a win. You get 1 point if you go into extra time, into overtime or a shootout, or if you lose in a shootout, doesn't matter. You still get that 1 point. So that's really just 3 games behind the San Jose Barracuda. So that is doable.
Oh, how? I want to mention that all of our guests are brought to you by the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Lot to get to still on the show today. And where I left you on the last break, we were talking about yesterday, obviously, with a lot of things that have happened for the Padres. Good news, Padres fans. The platoon that's going to go against lefties this year looks pretty good so far. Now, let's talk about, and before we get to the Joe Musgrove watch, we got to pay off this tease that is now 2 segments behind. But the lineups today for Team USA and the Rockies. Oh, my God. Frank and I were discussing this before the show today. How did the Rockies get stuck playing Team USA as a tune-up game? Or, as Dexter in Spring Valley said, a tuna game, because it's going to stink like the fish.
He draws the foul.
I will always say, dad jokes will always get a foul. They're bad. I laugh at the dad jokes, and just because I laugh doesn't mean it's not a foul. Sometimes, you know what? It's probably going to be a foul more times than not. So far, in terms of dad joke fouls, Tim Day over at USD on broadcast, he leads the field in dad joke fouls. He is the league leader in dad joke fouls. Shout out Tim Day. Some of them are dad jokes, but not to be told to children or said on the radio. Still funny.
Meaning the
Still
one,
a foul.
The one you forgot to tell me the other day?
I did. I forgot what the joke was at this point now.
There it is.
So I'd have to ask Tim. Maybe he'll text it to me. Who knows? All right, let's get to the. You got the lineups for the?
I do have the lineup.
All right, let's get to the lineup for. Here's who the Rock. Who do you want to start with?
We'll start with the Rockies.
Here's who the Rockies. Oh my God, Kyle Freeland's pitching too.
Yes.
Poor Kyle Freeland. Is Kyle Freeland going to take out a light with a baseball bat today? Here's who Kyle Freeland's got lined up behind him today for the Colorado Rockies.
Leading off, be Jake McCarthy.
Okay. You should play the MLB music for this great lineup.
Leading off for the Colorado Rockies, starting in left field, number 31, Jake McCarthy.
Wow. Round of applause. Yay. This is how it's going to get announced at Talking Stick. Salt River Field's a Talking Stick today.
Batting second, playing second, number 1, Adele Amador.
I don't think the crowd's going to be that loud.
Batting third, playing center field, number 22, Encinitas native, Mickey Moniak.
We'll give a big round of applause to Mickey.
Yes, we will. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Only real player I know in the lineup so far.
Batting fourth and playing right field, number 27, Jordan Beck.
Wow. I don't know. Is that important? Is he good?
Sure. Batting fifth behind the plate, number 37, Braxton Fulford.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. Batting sixth at first base, number 64. So you know he's making this team, TJ Rumfield.
Okay. This is a golf clap type lineup. As Go Aztecs said.
Batting seventh at third base, number 12, Kyle Karros.
They're like, hey, Eric, you're pretty good. Your son's good. Can we have your son on the team?
Batting eighth at shortstop, number 8, Ryan Ritter.
Ryan Ritter sounds like a MLB The Show name.
Batting ninth at designated hitter, number 26, former friend, Brett Sullivan.
Wow, Brett Sullivan getting a DH spot today against Team USA. Oh, man. All right, well, you know what? Not a bad lineup. You got Mickey Moniak. You got Sullivan, ex-Padre. You got Eric Karros' son.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too bad. I mean, Team USA's lineup couldn't be that great, could it?
No, it gets a little bit better. There are a few names that the U.S. is going to play today. Leading off at shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr.
It's not bad.
No. Batting second, playing first base, Bryce Harper.
But he's no Adele Amador.
He's no spring chicken either.
No. Yeah, he's no longer elite, right?
No, he's not.
No longer elite.
Batting third in right field, Arson Fudge, the captain.
The cousin of Aaron Judge. Okay.
Yes. Batting fourth at DH will be Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah.
Batting fifth at second base will be Alex Bregman.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, especially when you have him playing at a third position. Batting sixth at third base will be Gunnar Henderson.
Okay.
Batting seventh behind the plate will be Will Smith, the actor, not the Dodger. Batting eighth in left field will be Ernie Clement.
Okay.
I could see a few problems there.
Yeah.
Batting ninth in center field will be Pete Crow Armstrong with Ryan Yarborough pitching.
Not bad.
I would say the Rockies have a couple of issues today.
You know what? As Juan said, we've made it such a big deal that the Rockies are probably going to win this game. Brett Sullivan walk-off. Brett Sullivan a homer of Mason Miller due to Braden Frank's smug condensate. Mason Miller pitched yesterday, did he not? I'm pretty sure he pitched yesterday.
Yeah,
so I don't think you have to worry about that. Dominican Republic's in action right now as well.
Why? I don't understand this. Why is the infield all jacked up?
Excuse me?
For the U.S.
Like, were they in different spots?
Yeah, Bregman's starting at second base. He's a third baseman. Gunnar Henderson's a shortstop. He's at third. And Bobby Witt is a second baseman at short. You don't have... Those weren't concessions that you necessarily had to make.
Hey, man. Take it up with Mark DeRosa.
It's just interesting to me.
You're holding Mark DeRosa. You're really we're going to criticize the managerial decisions.
No, I'm just
Team
saying
USA?
I'm just saying it's interesting.
Isn't Bobby Witt Jr. a shortstop? I thought he's a shortstop.
I thought he was a second baseman.
You don't pay second baseman that kind of money.
When they're as good as Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah,
is.
and then they immediately move him to shortstop. I'm pretty sure he's a short. Yeah, he's listed as a shortstop.
Well, I mean, still Gunnar
You know
Henderson.
what? You know what? In Frank's defense, it is the American League Central.
It is.
Okay, it is the
Kansas
American
City
League
Royals.
Central. It's
And
the Kansas City Royals.
And as we've said many times on the show, we get all of our information from ESPN, who has no idea that Bobby Witt Jr. even exists. So you can see how I made the mistake.
That answer doesn't really bode well for you because it suggests that you listen to an outlet that you know is wrong and you still go with it anyway. You kind of talked your way into a corner on that one. I can't help you out of that one.
It was a joke.
Is it a joke?
Yes, it was. It was an joke. Yes.
I don't know. Dominican Republic down 1-0 to the Tigers. It's over. It's over. All right. Today, Joe Musgrove's pitching. Joe Musgrove hasn't pitched in a stadium. It's stadium game. First stadium appearance. Because why? Because it's not a Cactus League game and it's not a backfield game. So we're calling it a stadium game because he's pitching in a stadium. Any problems with that stadium game? Well, it's not a Cactus League game because he's going against Great Britain.
Better than a Little League game.
That's true. He's making his first appearance after Tommy John. Previously only threw on the backfields facing Great Britain's WBC team. Joe Musgrove, is this the most important storyline in camp? Is this the most important storyline in camp? It might be. We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number sports station, 97 through the Fan. Over 1 year ago, San Diego FC and St. Louis City SC walked out of Snapdragon Stadium with a scoreless draw, cautious, unfinished first chapter. This time, well, nothing cautious about it. Anders Dreyer wasted just 3 minutes to change the tone entirely. Dreyer, last season's MVP runner-up, buried the opener off a sharp pass from Marcus Ingvarsson with an Ani Valakari helping build the play, and San Diego never looked back in a 2-0 win over St. Louis. It wasn't just a win, it was control, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. San Diego FC dominated their possession. Over 61%, outshot St. Louis City 10-4. Goalkeeper Duran Ferri secured his second straight clean sheet. Ingvarsson added the insurance goal in the 54th minute, which Apple TV missed because they had a video blackout. Fun. Set up once again by Dreyer, who now has assists and goals flowing early in this season. I mentioned it on the show. Dreyer already has 4 goal contributions of the 7 goals. And if you want to count that shot that was saved that redirected right to Amal Pellegrino in the opener against Montreal, he has contributed directly to 5 of San Diego FC's 7 goals this year, which is incredible.
Yeah, San Diego FC dominated the possession at over 61%, outshot St. Louis 10-4, and Ferri, again, as you mentioned, second straight clean sheet. I mean, these are all numbers that are staggering and dominating, and a big reason why San Diego FC is going to be one of the favorites this season. I mean, I know they keep talking about LAFC being like the big dog to look out for in the Western Conference, and maybe they are, and maybe that sets up a big rivalry game in the future, but the way San Diego FC has been playing and the confidence they're playing with, it's the stability that they have on the field and also off the field with a lot of different guys getting contract extensions now.
Yeah, absolutely. And for LAFC, it's more based off of, well, this is they're the Inter Miami of the West. They're signing big international stars. Sung came in at the end of last season on a move from Tottenham. So they have the big name international stars that have made themselves a name in Europe, just in the same way that Inter Miami has with guys like Lionel Messi. So that's where that comparison comes from. And they've also started the season off very, very hot. But yeah, to be able to get 2 wins convincingly to start off this season, especially after the contract extensions that we'll get to right now that have been handed out, is a very, very good sign that we're seeing a very special team.
Yeah, San Diego FC signed sporting director and general manager Tyler Heaps to a multi-year extension, and that might not be the biggest move of the week because Heaps built this club from scratch. Entire soccer operations department, coaching staff, 25-man inaugural roster. They got 19 wins, 63 points, and the number 1 seed in the West, and a Western Conference final appearance out of it. Only one other expansion team in MLS history has done that, and that is the 1998 Chicago Fire. Before San Diego, Heaps sharpened his resume at the Right to Dream, AS Monaco, and U.S. Soccer, where he was part of the 2019 Women's World Cup winning staff. He's not just a roster builder. He's a systems guy, analytics-driven, culture first. Locking him in long-term signals something important, that this club isn't thinking about surviving the MLS. They're thinking about building a dynasty model in the MLS, and a big way to do that is keeping your keeper.
And to be fair, they've already built that foundation. And as you mentioned, speaking of stability, goalkeeper Pablo Cisniega is also staying. San Diego FC re-signed him through 2027 with a club option beyond that. Now, if you remember last season's playoff run, that was Cisniega in net. 2 games against Portland, thrown into the match in the 29th minute due to injury, saves 3 penalties in a shootout. That is franchise folklore stuff in year 1. A guy who barely got any playing time during the regular season, coming up massively on a second's notice in the postseason is incredible from Cisniega.
Yeah, this year he's already delivered in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. 8 saves against Pumas Unum in Mexico to push San Diego into the round of 16. That's not just depth, it's reliability, and smart clubs lock in reliability early, and that's exactly what San Diego FC did. So what's next for San Diego FC? Well, they head to face Sporting Kansas City this weekend, and then it's back home on March 11th at Snapdragon Stadium for a heavyweight CONCACAF Champions Cup showdown against back-to-back Liga MX champion in Toluca FC. And that is where things are going to get interesting. League play is one thing, but international competition sets depth, tests depth, discipline, and mentality. And so far, San Diego FC looks like they are built for it, Frank.
I wouldn't necessarily say that they are built for it just yet, because that game against Pumas in Mexico, that they really didn't have too much to worry about in that game. You're up 4-1 in aggregate. You can chill out a little bit. You can relax. If it's close or if they're losing against Toluca, that will really test the mettle of this team going into the second leg of that round.
Did you see, Frank, the court at the Big 12 tournament? Have you seen the?
I did. I sent you a video this morning, actually.
What
on Instagram?
All of the which? I haven't looked at my Instagram today. Which video did you send? About how cool it is, or about the problems it has had?
Oh, one from the Arizona State girls players, women's basketball players, saying actually how good it was, and how they were surprised how grippy and how good the court felt.
Right. Oh, so they're using it for practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was Molly, the head coach, and then the players. It actually doesn't look that bad on the surface, but here's the issue with the court. Okay, a couple of things that have popped up. Now, one of them I've already called out as erroneous in fake news, and that was the report of the design flaw of center court. There's no half court line during the game except for in the logo, which is tough to see. I have then looked at the images of the court, and they do have a center line logo. It's not crazy. That was the number one problem. The number two problem with the court is And this is the report. The same guy that said that there's no center court line, even though there was, said this. Courtside seats can't serve drinks because it's a digital court.
They have a cover.
I don't think that's the case because then the players couldn't have water. I just think that's entirely made up.
If you have a digital court, you're going to have protection over and around the bits that are digital. And you're probably also going to have some space in between where there's like wood or whatever. If that's the case, you couldn't have drinks courtside because the players could possibly slip on the wood. Like that makes no sense.
I think the guy just hates the court. Now, I will agree. Cool. I will agree with the fact that you can switch the court to anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
Literally everything, anything you want. It could be any of the courts. And they're showing the disgusting 12 Roman numerals all over the court design, which is awful. It's so bad. It's like you could literally make it anything you want. And that's what we're doing. We're doing that. I still like it, though.
Yes.
I still like it, though. All right. Let's talk about, before we get into the sports thread, which we didn't get to yesterday. It's sponsored by QC Kinetics. I also want to mention that all guests on 97.3 The Fan join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. Let's talk about Joe Musgrove for a second. So Musgrove's getting his first start since Tommy John surgery in a stadium appearance, if you will. He's pitching today against Great Britain. He's previously only thrown on back fields. He's facing Great Britain's WBC team, as I just mentioned. Is this the most important storyline in camp? I think it is. I think it is, because where Joe goes, this team goes in terms of the rotation as they try to fill out a 5-man rotation. This rotation is a playoff level rotation if Joe Musgrove can get back to form. So I hope that he's able to stay healthy. And I think that's the biggest takeaway you want to get out of this. Regardless of what his numbers are, I fully think that he's probably going to get hit around a little bit. He hasn't thrown since October of 2024 in a game.
Mm-hmm.
He's thrown some backfield games, everything like that. He's going to be a little rusty. Get that adrenaline of playing in a stadium, facing major league hitters, all of that. I think you got to be patient with Joe Musgrove in the spring in terms of results. We've talked about that with the starting pitchers a lot. But that being said, I do think his health in the spring is the most important storyline in camp, because the Padres could really use Joe Musgrove to be somewhat in the form that he was in 2020, before 2024. I mean, 2024, he looked like he was hurt all year. Find out that he was. But a lot is riding on Musgrove. And that's not to put extra pressure on him, whatever. It's just kind of the reality of the situation of the current state of the San Diego Padres. They could really use him to have a resurgence of a year in 2026, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to break off for a second, we had somebody in the chat asking about Alex Verdugo earlier. The 97.3 The Fan Twitter account actually just posted a video of him taking batting practice, taking live at bats on the backfields today in Peoria. So that's from 20 minutes ago. But to get back to the conversation at hand, yes, a lot of how Joe Musgrove feels right now is going to answer a lot of questions about the starting rotation. Musgrove, I would expect him to get knocked around a little bit today. I would expect him to get knocked around a little bit in the next start.
I don't hope he does. I hope he doesn't, right? I hope he doesn't.
Of course not.
Right.
But again, you don't really care about the results. You care about how he feels after it.
Correct.
Because he's throwing in a game for the first time, as you mentioned, in a year and a half. I don't care if he gets knocked around. What I care about is if he feels normal afterwards, if he feels normal tomorrow, if he feels normal the day after that. That's really what I'm looking at. And then you can assess not just what to do as far as starting Joe Musgrove on the IL, maybe to save his arm a little bit, have him in the rotation on opening day, have him pitch the opening series, or whether or not you want to do a 5 or a 6-man rotation. You base all of that on Joe Musgrove and how Joe Musgrove feels. So I don't care whether or not he gets knocked around. I care about how he feels tomorrow and the day after. If he feels great, then you're set. You're good to ride. That's how I'm looking at these outings for him this spring.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a lot of bounce, but how is he doing after the start, right?
Yes.
How did you feel during the start? They're going to keep asking him, how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? It's going to be like that when, he faces his first inning. Even if he looks really good, how do you feel? If he looks really bad, how do you feel? It's going to be like that for probably the entire spring. And I think that really impacts who makes this team and who doesn't based on what do they need. Do they need more starting help? Right? Because they don't think Joe Musgrove is going to be good to go at the beginning of the season. Do they need more bullpen help? Because hey, look, now we got Joe there. It sounds like he's ready to go. This factors in with a lot of decisions, a lot of decisions that fill out this roster for the Padres kind of hinge on where Joe Musgrove is health-wise going into the season. That's why it's the most important.
Yes.
Because it changes the trajectory of what this team can do. So it's going to be exciting to see him back out there on the mound today in a Padres uniform. We're going to continue our conversation about the Padres in a little bit, but it's time to get to today's Sports Thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Stop sitting on the sidelines. QC Kinetics gets you back in the game without surgery. To learn how, visit QCkinetics.com.
All right, Frank, what's going on in the sports world today?
We spoke about Team USA in the World Baseball Classic in the last segment. Let's continue
Number 1.
On with them. San Francisco Giants ace Logan Webb will start Game 1 of the WBC for Team USA against Brazil, manager Mark DeRosa announced, with reigning AL Cy Young winner Tarek Skubal slated for Game 2 versus Great Britain, NL Cy Young winner Paul Skeens going in Game 3, and Nolan McLean penciled for Game 4 against Italy, health permitting. As the Americans open pool play in Houston, looking to avenge their 2023 final loss to Japan. Anchored by captain Arson Fudge and a roster loaded with star power, the club has emphasized national pride and service sentiments echoed by Paul Skeens, an Air Force Academy alum, while navigating pitch count guardrails to balance tournament competition with MLB opening day preparation. With so many aces but strict workloads, how should Team USA balance winning now in the WBC with protecting its arms for the season?
I mean, at this point, to me, it's you either want to be on Team USA and compete in the WBC or you do not. That's how I look at this. I understand the whole situation of got to be geared up for the season, and we want to be geared up for the season. We care about it because the World Series is still more important than the WBC championship.
Yes.
My thing is, if you want to play for Team USA, you should be built up and ready to go now to play for Team USA. You should do what Darvish has done in the past, where he's getting ready earlier. He's doing his own spring training before spring training starts. If you're a pitcher, you can't use the WBC to help ramp up for the season. You were either in or you're out. There's no I got to. I get what Team USA has to do, but to me, if you're going to have this tournament at this point in the year, your pitchers have to understand what they're signing up for, in my opinion. So to me, if you're committed to Team USA or whatever country, and you're a pitcher, you understand what you're signing up for. And I feel like we're kind of still half in, half out on that particular conversation.
And we'll probably dive into it a little bit more, but Tarek Skubal throwing 55 pitches and then bailing on the roster, bailing on the team. And going back to Detroit spring training.
It's a waste of time.
It really is. It's amazing.
Number 2.
Washington Wizards guard Trae Young was ejected on Monday night before ever suiting up with his new team. Stepping onto the court from the bench to argue with an official during a scuffle in a 123-118 loss to the Houston Rockets, Young, who was traded from Atlanta on January 7th and has been sidelined since December 27th with MCL and quad injuries, later joked on social media about the incident and confirmed he plans to make his Wizards debut Thursday, tomorrow night, against the Utah Jazz, where he's expected to play 17 to 20 minutes as Washington continues its rebuild following the in-season additions of Trae Young and Anthony Davis. Can Trae Young's arrival meaningfully accelerate the Wizards' rebuild, or is this season more about long-term development than short-term wins?
I don't know. Has he played yet?
No,
he still hasn't played. He's gotten ejected. He got ejected from a game before even playing in it.
Yes, he was. Yep.
Yeah, nice. I'm going to say no to that at this point. The guy's been ejected from more games than he has played in with the team. That's all you need to know about the situation.
It's a hell of a stat right there.
Yeah, more ejections than minutes played.
Miami of Ohio athletic director David Saylor publicly blasted TNT analyst and former Auburn coach Bruce Pearl after Pearl told Barstool Sports that the undefeated Redhawks were 29-0, wouldn't deserve an NCAA tournament at-large bid and likely would finish near the bottom of a Power 4 league, prompting Saylor to call the comments disrespect and questions Pearl's credibility as a television analyst. Miami chasing a perfect regular season, but hampered by a number 285 strength of schedule ranking on KenPom and a net in the 50s, may need to win the MAC tournament to secure its first NCAA berth since 2007, while Pearl's Auburn squad is currently on the bubble after losing 7 of 8, is fighting for its own tournament life. Should an unbeaten mid-major automatically earn serious at-large consideration, or does strength of schedule outweigh a perfect record?
I think the strength of schedule outweighs the perfect record. I mean, if you just played a bunch of, you played a bunch of schools that are awful, are you really that good to begin with? I mean, not really. I don't think Auburn's very good either, but I think two things can be true. Now, I think strength of schedule should matter, but at the same time, we don't know what schools turn down playing Miami of Ohio in the non-con. I don't think a lot of schools are afraid to play Miami of Ohio in the non-con, but I look back to San Diego State just to make it local again. They're not getting Duke to come here and play.
No.
Duke's not interested in playing at Viejas because they know they might lose. Kansas isn't interested in playing at Viejas. They know they might lose. Okay, so I understand where the mid-major is coming from in the sense that you guys refuse to play us in the non-conference, and then you puff your chest out about strength of schedule. I get it. But the other thing, too, from Bruce Pearl, he might be right on a sense that, Miami of Ohio is not very good and their metrics stink. But the reality is it's rich coming from him defending, Auburn, where his son coaches, and their team is not good, but they're in a better conference. So it's they got to make the inside. No, I'm tired of that stuff, too. I think both parties here could be right in that situation. Noon lunchtime hour. When we come back, we're going to talk about the WBC a little bit, get you updates on what's going on. We will also look at the 5th spot in the rotation, a deeper dive into that as Joe Musgrove gets ready to toe the rubber in the noon hour. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Near lunchtime hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors at 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. I could use a taco today.
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where are the damn tacos at?
I was about to ask Jeremiah. Jeremiah wants tacos. Who doesn't want tacos? I know it's Wednesday, but you know what? You could have tacos on Wednesday.
Jeremiah also needs like 5 different hands to do everything all at once here.
That's true. Got an octopus over there. Ooh, octopus taco. Now we're talking.
Oh, God.
Ever had? It's like having the octopus salad at Mona Lisa's. Put that in a taco shell. That'd be pretty good, dude. I'm telling you. By the way, no party for the Italians today. You didn't play any Italian music. They came back and beat the Cubs.
No, I know. Love it.
Awesome.
Love seeing it.
Love seeing it. Absolutely love it. We love it. Good for the Italians. All right, today, Padres and Great Britain. Padres and Great Britain today, as Joe Musgrove will toe the rubber against the WBC team. And that game will be, I guess you can watch it today. That's great. You can also watch the Team USA play the Rockies. That will be a bloodbath. I am really hoping the Rockies win like 15-1 now, just for the sake of the bit. You got the lineups today?
I do. I've got the Padre lineup right here. So we will start off in center field with Carlos Rodriguez. Samad Taylor will bat second, playing right field. First base will be Romeo Sanabria. Sanabria, sorry. Clay Duggan batting fourth. We got Tirso Ornelas in left. Nick Schnell at DHing. Pablo Reyes at short. Ethan Salas behind the plate. And then Marco Castañon will be the second baseman batting ninth.
Castañon.
Sorry.
Castañon, maybe. I don't know.
I got the Nya in there. That's
the Enye?
figured, yeah.
Nice. What a lineup. Everybody's got the day off today, it looks like.
Yeah. More or less, except for Joe Musgrove.
Except for Joe Musgrove. All right, so you're watching for Joe Musgrove. This would be one of the only times that you'd want to like stay tuned in when they're on defense and not on offense at this particular time.
You know what the best part is?
What's the best part?
I can press 2 buttons on this board right now.
Oh, no.
That one and that one, and I can hear it live in my ear.
Are you disseminating over there?
No, Am I playing it on the board? No, I am not.
I just want to make sure, man. No disseminating.
I'm not gonna play it over the board.
Don't disseminate.
I'm stupid, but I'm not dumb.
What's the difference in your opinion between stupid and dumb?
Playing a game I'm not supposed to play over the air.
Versus not doing it?
Yeah, versus not doing it, yes.
That's your definition of stupid versus dumb?
Yes.
Okay. You want to elaborate on that?
I like my job. I would like to keep it, but I would also like to know what's happening. And I can tell you guys as it's happening.
That would be disseminating.
Well, a little bit after it happens. You can't
tell us
a little bit after it
what is happening in the game as it is happening.
Well, no,
that would
of course.
Be disseminating.
Of course, it'll be a little bit after.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I do want to, and this just popped up.
I can't do a live play-by-play. I can't see what's going on.
You can listen and then.
I can, but.
That'd kind of defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
Like, why have the middleman?
Exactly.
Of Marchese. Okay. There was a couple of things. Let me see if you can find this. I do want to get to this too. Craig Stammen had a couple of different clips. I want to play the one about Joe Musgrove here, and then we're going to talk about the 5-man rotation, and then we're going to talk about the Dominican Republic and how that looked yesterday, because Fernando was batting leadoff yesterday, and they asked Craig Stammen about that as well. So Joe Musgrove is getting his first appearance since Tommy John in a stadium game. Stadium game. It's not a Cactus League game because they're playing Great Britain. It's a stadium game. So obviously there's expectations. I think this is the biggest storyline for the Padres in spring. There's a lot of storylines and a lot of competition, but a lot of the roster decisions really hinge on where Joe is at by the time March 26 rolls around. So here's Craig Stammen, manager of the Padres, talking about his level of excitement to see Joe Musgrove pitch today.
Yeah, very exciting. I think everybody's excited. Long time coming. Last time we saw him pitch, Big League Mound was in the playoffs, and we were all worried about what was going to come of that, and it was worst case scenario. But the journey that Joe's been on that led him up to this point has been pretty awesome to watch from behind the scenes, and just knowing what he's been putting into it every single day to be at his best. And no matter how today goes, it's going to be a positive step forward.
What does he mean to the rotation, to what you guys can accomplish this season?
Yeah, it's more like what he means to the entire team, just who he is as a person, how he represents the city of San Diego, how he represents the Padres. He is who we want to be like, who we want to be about. And he's a leader in the clubhouse, a leader in the community. And, we all wish we had the capability of leading the way Joe does. And he just does it in a really spectacular way that we're thankful that he's on our ball club.
A lot of nice things to be said about Joe, and well-deserving, obviously. So this is a big moment for the Padres right now. This is the big moment, one of the big moments for the Padres. And we're going to talk about, what he thinks about Fernando batting leadoff and all that stuff in just a little bit. But how Joe Musgrove feels today, how he feels at the end of today, how he feels over the next couple of starts, as Frank mentioned in the last hour, that's really going to dictate a lot of roster spots for the Padres on what they can and cannot do, what they need to fill in with, what they need to, if they take more starters, do they take more relievers, all of that stuff. So today for Joe, I think the biggest goal, Frank, is health. I think the biggest goal today is health. How is he feeling?
Yes.
Where's the velo at? All of that. And then everything else is secondary. If he ends up having a really good outing, awesome. If not, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't really matter. And so what does matter is how this rotation plays out with Joe Musgrove in it. And how it plays out with Joe Musgrove if he can't be in it, at least at the beginning part of the season. And again, he wanted him and Michael King coming back from injuries. They want to ease them back into everything. But the number 5 starter and what it means for the Padres is the next part of this conversation. And Kevin Acee laid this out in an article today in the San Diego Union-Tribune. The number 5 starter isn't really a thing. The myth of the number 5 starter and what it really means to the Padres. According to Ruben Niebla, who's the pitching coach of the Padres, he pushed back on the label of the number 5 starter, and the ideal scenario is no difference between number 1 and number 5. I think that a lot of that's coach speak, Frank, to be honest with you.
Yeah, more or less.
He's got to say the right things, right? I mean, in an ideal world, obviously, it'd be the case. Like, you got 5 guys, they're all studs. It's great. But he goes on to talk about how it's about deploying quality pitchers, not ranking them, to label the 5th starter as more of a media-driven than reality. In today's game, the rule is fluid, shared, and often temporary. I get that, but at the same time, whoever starts 5th is your 5th starter. And if he continues to start 5th, he's going to continue to be your 5th starter. And if it's not, and it's a bunch of different players, then it's going to be a situation where you have multiple 5th spots in that rotation, which on top of that, there's only a certain amount of guys that you can keep part of the organization to be the 5th starter. Now, I get the baseball's evolving. I get the number 5 starters, rarely one guy, right? It's almost like running backs in the NFL. They used to be just like a one guy spot, and now it's a rotation of like 2 or 3 guys. But if you're competing, which the Padres expect to be, you're going to need 7 to 10 starters ready over 162 games. I get that. I don't know how they're going to keep all these guys on the roster, though, in order to accomplish that. Now, the 5 pitchers that are currently vying for what's likely one early season slot. And again, it is a one early season slot because these guys don't have options, except for J.P. Sears. Walker Buehler, German Marquez, Tristan McKenzie, Marco Gonzalez, J.P. Sears. Plus, Griffin Canning, who's doing Achilles rehab and will be likely out until May. You also have other depth options like Matt Waldron, Jackson Wolf, Miguel Mendez, and a possible trade addition. Now, it's going to take a village for this rotation. We've talked about this a lot. 10 Padres pitchers made at least 5 starts last season. 14 different pitchers made at least 1 start last season for the Padres. And 23 of 30 MLB teams had 8 or more pitchers make 5+ starts. Half the league had 14+ starters make at least 1 start. Rotation depth isn't optional. This is a mandatory thing now in Major League Baseball. The Padres were 63-24 when starters went 5+ innings and allowed 3 or fewer runs. That's elite. When the starter does his job, the bullpen closes the door. That's how the Padres want to draw this up. That's how everybody in baseball wants to draw this up. The pitchers who filled the 5th spot last season for the Padres, 16 quality starts, 5+, less than 3 earned runs. Padres went 11-6 in those games. 11-6. Opinion on this, right? My opinion on this. Obviously, the formula in filling out your rotation is very clear. The team doesn't need dominance. They don't need, really a bunch of aces on the staff. They just need competence in innings. They need to be able to have guys go 5 solid innings to keep the bullpen elite. And 3-inning outings expose everything with this team. But we talked about that so much, Frank, about the difference between a 5 and a 6-man rotation. If your starters are only giving you 3 or 4 innings, it doesn't matter how many you have in your rotation.
No, exactly, because you're going to be burning the bullpen at the same rate. But again, I still think it'll be a 5-man rotation. I don't see it being a 6-man, especially if Joe Musgrove gets hurt, because you're not going to take a chance on 3 of these guys, especially when you're going to have to knock 1 away for when Musgrove comes back off the IL, if he starts the season on the IL. And you're also going to have to knock you're going to have to knock 1 or 2 out in that case for Griffin Canning when he comes back. So I think you want to make the decision as easy as possible and go with what you're going to be going with and set yourself up in a position that you're going to be going in throughout the season. And that's the 5-man rotation. So you may as well cut it down now at this point.
If you start looking at the number 5 spot, and again, the only reason I think they would do a 6-man rotation, it starts to leaning more towards the 5-man again, and everything that we have gotten from our reports with Sam, as well as other reporters out there at spring training. That's just, to me, just to keep Nushrig on the roster.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why they would do it, is if Walker Buehler and Amon Marquez both ball out, and it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do? We kind of want both these. It's a plethora of riches. But if you look at the number 5 spot, you can look at the Matt Waldron example. 2 seasons ago, he had a 2.76 ERA over 14 midseason starts. During that stretch, other starters combined for a 4.35 ERA. The 5th starter ended up being your best starter for 2.5 months. So to prove Ruben Yablo's point, labels don't mean anything. Performance dictates the hierarchy of who's your number 1, who's your number 2, who's your number. I get that. I mean, your number 5 starter could be one of your best arms. Here's what contenders actually get from the number 5 spot. And Kevin Acee laid this out in his article, which is very, he did the research on this. I find it very interesting. So from Kevin Acee's article, the average 2025 playoff team's number 5 starter, 21 starts, 109 and a third innings, and a 4.62 ERA. Not an ace, but survival with stability. So, as Craig Stammen said yesterday, the manager of the Padres, he's the ace on the day he's pitching. That's very Mike McCoy level. The next important game is the next one, because it's the next one, Frank. That's the important game.
Yeah.
Why is the next game important? Because it's the next one. Expectation is to win that day, obviously. Now, the real issue right here with the starting rotation is the ceiling versus the floor argument. The rotation currently includes Nick Pivetta, Michael King, Joe Musgrove, who's pitching today for the first time, Randy Vasquez. Is that a playoff rotation? Is that a championship rotation? Or is it dependent on everybody hitting their ceiling? Fangraphs projects 79 wins largely due to rotation depth concerns. Now, I don't think that rotation in itself is a playoff level rotation. I think it's good enough to get you to the trade deadline, but they're really going to need the number 5 starter to step up. They're going to need a Walker Buehler. They're going to need an Amon Marquez. They're going to need some flash out of some of these guys. They're going to need a Griffin Canning to look like he did before he blew out his Achilles. So, the rotation's very interesting. The Padres don't need an ace in the 5th spot. They just need some predictability. If they get 20-plus solid starts from the role of the 5 spot, they're a 90-win team. If they get chaos, they're battling for 500. They're looking for, as we mentioned, what were the stats that we said? 21 starts, 109 in the 3rd innings, and a 4.62 ERA. That is what you're looking for in the number 5 starter. I think you can get that out of Griffin Canning. I think you can get that out of Walker Buehler. I think you can get that out of Amon Marquez. You are looking to fill 21 starts, 109 in a 3rd innings pitched, and under a 4.7 ERA. That's what you're looking for in the number 5 spot. It doesn't need to be a great performance in the 5 spot. That's the average number 5 starter for a playoff team. But I think it really hinges on what Joe Musgrove does this season, because he's your number 3 as of right now. We hadn't talked about the average 2025 playoff team's number 3 starter. How's Joe doing? We'll give you an update when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Big time history this weekend in motorsports, and it starts with the name tied forever to greatness. Ever since the dynasty years of the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s, the word three-peat has basically belonged to one man, Michael Jordan. Now he's sharing it with one of his drivers. Tyler Reddick wins again, this time at Duramax Texas Grand Prix, powered by Redline at the Circuit of the Americas, becoming the first driver in NASCAR history to win the first 3 races of a Cup Series season.
Yeah, no, that is absolute history. Now, only 2 drivers in NASCAR history have ever been able to win the first 2. That would have been Jeff Gordon in 1997 and Matt Kenseth back in 2009. Those are the only times that the winner of the opening 2 race was that one driver was able to win the opening 2 races of the season. Now Tyler Reddick has not only added to that very illustrious company, he has gotten into a class of his own, something we've never seen before, and something with how hard it is to win races nowadays, we may never see again.
A week earlier, he won at Echo Park. Before that, Daytona. Now it's the Circuit of the Americas. He now holds a 70-point lead in the standings. It's early, but it's starting to dominate. And here's the part that adds legacy weight. His car is co-owned by Michael Jordan and Danny Hamlin under the 2311 Racing. Jordan called the 3rd win the hardest one to get because expectations change, pressure changes, everyone's chasing you. And right now, everyone is chasing Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, and he was running away. He was running for his life at the end of that race. Shane Van Gisbergen came over from the Australian Supercar Series a couple of years ago, ran just a one-off race because he wanted to try it out at the Chicago Street Circuit and won it. The first driver to ever win on his debut. Got a full-time ride last year, won the last 5 road courses in a row last year, and Reddick had to hold off SVG at the end of that race and did it perfectly. He said he made a couple mistakes, but he was able to outlast Shane Van Gisbergen and win by a fairly comfortable margin in the end.
The bigger takeaway, obviously, this isn't luck. Now it's starting to be a reality in NASCAR. It's not about the fuel. It's not fuel mileage. It's not chaos racing. This is the speed of Tyler Reddick in his car right now. It's the strategy. It's the execution. And if he keeps stacking playoff points this early, we might be watching someone build a championship cushion before the summer even hits.
Yeah, exactly. And with the way the new championship system is working, it's not just a win and you're in. You need to build up points. You'll get more points for your wins. The playoff points will stack up. And then it's the final 10 races, basically restarts the season. You go by the point standings again to find the champion. But yeah, this is a huge cushion and huge buffer that Tyler Reddick has built himself this early in the season.
You dropped Tyler Reddick's car off at VAS Arena before a San Diego State basketball game, and now all of a sudden he's won 3 races. I don't think it's that much of a coincidence, Frank. I really don't.
Hendrick Motorsports, get William Byron's car out here, please. That would be very, very kind of you. Please, come on. He's got to pick it up.
Jimmy Johnson better start dropping a car off before the race here in San Diego. We'll talk about that, obviously, as that race gets closer in June. But an IndyCar update. Paolo picks up where he left off. Meanwhile, over in IndyCar, the dominance theme has continued. Alex Palou opened the 2026 season by winning the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. If it sounds familiar, it should. He just won his 3rd straight championship last season, by nearly 200 points. And on Sunday, he led 59 laps and won by over 12 seconds. That's not just squeaking by. That's controlling a race.
No, if you want to go back to the chase dominance of Jimmy Johnson in NASCAR, that's what Alex Palou has done here in IndyCar, won by the largest margin in the history of the series last year at almost 200 points, going for his 4th straight championship. He's just picked up right where he's left off. And IndyCar does run on road courses and on ovals. This was the street circuit at St. Petersburg. He is very, very good on road courses. He has been so dominant in this series for the last couple of years. It's no wonder why the world of Formula One is looking at him.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun race coming up next weekend.
Yep.
Couple
Phoenix,
of races.
yes.
Frank's excited. Hopefully.
I'm very, very excited.
Frank's going to give us the full recap next week.
Yes.
$12:23 on a Wednesday. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Be sure to be paying attention at 1 o'clock for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a future Padres game with all the fan staff. Register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest-fan in order to potentially have your name called. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, standing as someone sports station 97.3 The Fan. Now, let's talk about what Joe Musgrove has done so far and kind of around what you would expect to a little extent in his first start back.
In a non-disseminating style.
Yes, non-disseminating. Game started off with Nate Eaton working a walk, and then he stole second base during the Jazz Chisholm at bat, which Joe Musgrove struck out Jazz for the first out of the contest, and then gave up a RBI single by Harry Ford. He singled to left, and Tirso Ornelas, he singled left to Tirso Ornelas. It was deflected by Pablo Reyes in the process. So the diving play for Pablo Reyes comes up empty, and for the Padres, so that gives up the first run for Joe Musgrove. It just went off the glove and leaked into the outfield. It's something that was not going to be an error, so it counts as an earned run. BJ Murray then singled. They had a mound visit, and then Matt Koperniak singled on a line drive, and now they have made a little bit of a substitution change for Joe Musgrove. So Moreno is now in for Joe. I'm sure he had a pitch count today as well.
He had 26 today, 50-50 ball strike ratio, so 13-13.
Out of his 26 pitches, he ends up going a third of an inning, 1 earned run, 3 hits, a walk, and a strikeout. Didn't get the break, though, by the shortstop. And again, he doesn't have the major league roster behind him. You know, he has Reyes at shortstop today. Not to say it was a play that maybe Bogarts would have made, but good velo out of Joe today. Good velo out of Joe. He got a punch out against the one, real major leaguer in the lineup in Jazz Chisholm. And he exits the game with a third of an inning. So we'll keep you updated on what the Padres are doing. Again, it's a lot of the minor leaguers today for the San Diego Padres against Great Britain. A lot of the minor leaguers today. But looks like he had at least 95 on the strikeout against Jazz Chisholm. So not bad. It was kind of expected to an extent, right?
Yes.
He was hitting 94, 95 on a lot of the fastballs against Eaton in the first at bat. His cutter was hitting 87, curveball dropping at 82 against Nate Eaton. In the strikeout against Jazz Chisholm, he hit 95 twice in that at bat. One on a swinging strike, one on a called strike, both on the fastball. He did get an automatic ball for a pitch clock violation. Is this? I can't remember. This is the third year of the pitch clock? Second year. Third year.
Third year.
So Joe has pitched with the pitch clock before.
Yeah, he has.
It's just starts blending together after a while. So he got a pitch clock violation in the Jazz Chisholm Jr. at bat. But again, hit 95, 94, 95, where his fastball's been. Again, first start since coming off of injury against Henry Ford on the pitch by pitch. He started that at bat 3-0, got the called strike on the 95 mile an hour fastball. Again, cutter, low 90s. Fastball was hitting at around 94, 95 for most of the deal. He hit the cutter for a hit at 91 miles an hour. Henry Ford did for the RBI single. But you look at the velocity for Joe, not bad considering where he has been, considering that it's his first stadium outing back after having Tommy John surgery. Frank.
Yeah, and again, I wouldn't, if you're saying, oh, well, that's a little bit lower, well, one, that always happens with Tommy John surgery. You always lose a little bit. But again, it's also his first time throwing in a year and a half in a live game. And no matter how many times he's thrown in the backfields, how many times he's thrown in the bullpens, throwing in a live game is different against people who are not your teammates, who are not your minor leaguers.
He's throwing to Ethan Salas right now.
Well, so he's getting a little bit of, wait, did they put him back in?
No, that's what he was throwing again. Like the catcher today was Ethan Salas.
Oh, yeah.
That's who's catching him right now.
Yeah. So, that's, I don't look too much into this velocity right now is what I'm trying to get across here. Velo is going to be lower, not just because
I think 95 is pretty high for Joe coming back.
For what he's coming back from in his first start. Yeah, absolutely. But if you're worried about him, he's not going to be able to hit 97, 98 anymore. He's not throwing it full song right now.
No, I look at the 95 as a positive right now for what he has gone through injury wise and where he's at. That's not bad, I think, to start off in spring training. So again, Joe Musgrove, third of an inning, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. The 1 strikeout was against the major leaguer in Jazz Chisholm Jr. Didn't get too much behind him in terms of that one play, but was going to be a tough play for Reyes. And so we'll keep you updated on what the Padres are doing today against Great Britain. Again, a lot of minor leaguers playing today for Great Britain. When we come back, Fernando batting leadoff for the Dominican, and they asked Craig Stammen about it. We're going to hear from Craig Stammen and discuss about the lineup when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Big week across the board for the Tritons, and depending on the program, it's either momentum season or gut check time. Let's start with the hottest team in La Jolla right now, and that's the men's basketball team. Are they peaking at the right time? Well, UCSD Tritons men's basketball team have quietly won 5 straight games and are making a serious late push in the Big West Conference. They handled Cal State Bakersfield 84-72 behind 21 points from Hudson Mays. Their third straight 20-win season, then followed it up with an 80-64 win over Cal Poly in front of 3,300 at Lion Tree Arena. And here's what stands out. 18-1 when leading at halftime, turned it over just 6 times against Cal Poly, held a team averaging 82 points per game to 64, and 5 players in double figures in the home finale.
Yeah, now they're 21-9, 11-7 in conference play, and they're tied for third with 2 games left, including a massive showdown against Cal State Fullerton. They are defending, they're controlling tempo, they're winning inside. They're winning inside 40 paint points. Points in the paint against Cal Poly. They're also closing games. Now, the question isn't whether or not they're good, it's whether or not they're March dangerous.
And to be March dangerous, they're going to have to be March dangerous in Las Vegas because they play the Big West Conference. The Big West Conference is a one-bid league. And so they're just like San Diego State. They're going to have to get hot in a week in a weekend in Vegas. And so we'll see what the Tritons have up their sleeve in men's basketball. As for women's basketball, program history in the making. UCSD Tritons women's basketball might be building something even bigger. Back-to-back 85-point outings, back-to-back road wins, second straight 20-win season. They beat Bakersfield 85-79 behind 19 from Michaela Rose and followed it with an 85-61 statement win at Cal Poly. Erin Condren posted her 10th double-double. Rose is now 2 steals away from the single-season program record. They're 20-8 overall and 15-3 in Big West play, tied for first with Irvine with 2 games left.
Yep, absolutely. And the key stat is they've won the battle in the paint. They've won the turnover battle, fast break points and rebounds in both of those games. That's not just lucky. That's identity. And they're playing downhill. They're forcing mistakes. They're closing out, as this might be the most complete women's team that UC San Diego has fielded since they've gone into Division I basketball.
As for the baseball program, UCSD showed both their ceiling and their growing pains on the road at Louisiana. Opened the series with a 7-3 win. Trevion Martinez with 5 RBIs. Anthony Potestio going 4 for 5 and 12 strikeouts from the pitching staff. And then an 8-0 shutout loss and a 4-3 series finale heartbreak where they out-hit Louisiana but stranded 10 runners. That was after they stranded 20 runners on Tuesday against USD. They're now 4-6 heading into Cincinnati for another road test against this time a Power 4 opponent. This team can hit, they could pitch in stretches, but situational execution is the separator right now for this team.
Yeah, no, the talent is for sure there. It's just the consistency is not there. And we've talked about it a lot. A team that has problems driving in runners as well, trying to figure it out this year in the San Diego Padres. So this is it's a baseball problem that you're always going to run into. You're going to run into times where you cannot get runners in, and that really bit the Tritons on Sunday.
As for softball, from 10-1 to 9 straight losses, and then that's the most dramatic swing of the week. Yeah. UCSD softball started the season 10-1. They've now lost 9 straight games. They were no hit by Fresno State. They dropped both games Saturday despite 15 hits against Pacific. They're 10-10 heading into Big West play at UC Santa Barbara. But, they still have some players that are doing pretty well individually.
Yeah, absolutely. Marley Espio, hitting 383 with 12 extra base hits. The offense can explode, 15 hits in one game, but pitching depth and late execution are what have been the problems here for UC San Diego's softball team. Now that conference play is starting, there's no more tournaments, there's no more warm-ups. It's for real now. They need to get it back into gear, and that is a rough way to go into conference play after such a hot start that they had.
Just overall with UCSD athletics, and we've talked about it enough, but for a school that is still transitioning from Division II to Division I, it's been a handful of years now. They're now postseason eligible. I mean, some of the things that we talked about in this report of multiple 20-win seasons for men's and women's basketball in a row, baseball, swinging with some of the best of them, and they won a Big West Conference championship in 2023. They just were ineligible for the postseason because of the postseason ban for teams transitioning to Division I. They've accomplished a lot so far, and they're really making a lot of headway in town and in Division I athletics.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to be proud of, and they've done a fantastic job. They've gotten that momentum behind them. Now they just need to continuously show that they can go out there and win at a high level.
Want to get to the midday sports standoff here in just a second. If you call in and take me down to some sports trivia, you would be qualified for a chance to win a pair of tickets to Field of Dreams, the festival, Field of Dreams Festival. at Petco Park on June 13th, featuring Slightly Stupid, Sublime, and more. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. If you call in and you can take me down in sports trivia, you will be qualified for a chance to win a pair of tickets to Field of Dreams Festival at Petco Park on June 13th, featuring Slightly Stupid, Sublime, and more. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Juan Soto has left the building. The big knock. The Dominican up 3-1, bottom 5.
Second in 2 days. He had a 2-run shot yesterday, too.
How about Machado giving up the number 13 jersey?
Yeah, to Junior Caminero, of all people.
So,
not to disparage Junior Caminero. He's
that
a good
sounded
young,
like you're really disparaging Junior Caminero.
My point was, he's not on that level of a Manny Machado or a Fernando or a Juan Soto yet. So it's surprising to see that he was the one that was given the number.
You would think he would give it to like a Juan Soto or something.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. If him or another megastar on the team had it, then yeah, that's who I would expect to give it up to. But he's also got the C on the jersey too. So that's...
He does. He does have the C on the jersey. We'll see how the Dominican does in the WBC. First game of the WBC is tonight at 7:00. Chinese Taipei and Australia. We'll have a breakdown of that later on. But we do want to talk a little bit about the Dominican team because they have a couple of Padres on it. 3 to be exact. Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, and Wandy Peralta. The Dominican has hit Fernando. Did he bat? Let me ask this question. Did he hit leadoff again today?
Let me take a look and see.
For the Dominican? He might have. Joe Musgrove is back on the mound, by the way.
Oh, they brought him back out. Okay.
Yeah. So he's starting with a fresh
so they
inning.
gave him a extended break. Fernando led off today.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated on what Joe Musgrove is doing. But he's throwing strikes, and he looks more comfortable out there. Again, I mean, he's one good play away from potentially not giving up any runs in the first inning. He ends up giving up one. He did strike out Jazz Chisholm Jr.
I don't know what to say about this or how to react to it. Juan Soto's 2 for 3 with a triple and a home run.
Wow.
After hitting a 2-run home run yesterday.
He seems a little locked in.
He's hitting 667 with a 3.000 OPS.
That sounds like Miguel Andujar against lefties in spring.
Yeah.
Okay, conversation is now sparked again about Fernando Tatis Jr., where he bats in the lineup. Okay. So, that being said, Fernando hit leadoff yesterday, and he's hitting leadoff again today. For the Padres, he's been batting mostly cleanup. It sounded like he didn't want to bat leadoff when asked about it. And so they asked Craig Stammen about Fernando batting leadoff with the San Diego batting leadoff for the Dominican Republic and what he thought of that.
No, I mean, I didn't talk to Albert about where he was going to put it, but obviously saw he was leading off, which is cool. Like, Toddy's a great leadoff hitter and could be our leadoff hitter at some point too. I'm sure he loves it. He's playing for a great team. They got a great lineup, and he gets to be the first one that the pitcher sees.
How about that too? He mentioned he could bat leadoff for us. I thought everybody keeps telling us, Frank, that he's not going to bat leadoff for the Padres.
It sounds like he's not committing to closing a door, which any good manager should be committed to anything that's willing to help the team.
I'd have to look up what he did last year. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, he did not lead off a lot of games in spring training last year. So that's why I find it interesting, and that, he's not batting late. Well, the assumption that he's not going to lead off at all in the regular season because he's not leading off in spring training. I know we've seen the same lineup a handful of times when the Stars are in, Frank, but I don't think they're against him batting leadoff. I think they're just giving him a different role. See what he unlocks a couple things. But he looked pretty good yesterday batting leadoff. He's looked good today batting leadoff for the Dominican.
I mean, you need to have that flexibility, and that was the one thing that we said. You go too far one way, and then you go too far the other way, and then you find a place in the middle. Before Mike Shildt, everyone was complaining the lineup always changed. The lineup was never consistent. The guys never know where they're hitting in the lineup any given day. Then you go to Mike Shildt, who didn't change the lineup at all for anything. And now you got to find yourself in a happy medium where this is on most nights, this is where these guys are going to be hitting. But if we stumble or if we start to hit a dry spell, we're going to change it up a little bit. So it sounds like Stammen is that pendulum equalizing out into the middle.
I'm going to try to find that. I'm just trying to do it based on memory. Trying to find spring training stats is just so.
You can't MLB.com. MLB.com is probably the best place to go for it.
Yeah, but you got to find like where it's the splits of like where he's hitting and stuff like that.
No, I know
which
that.
is crazy. Joe Musgrove's got one out on the top of the second, wait a minute. By the way.
Oh, here we go. I got it. In that's spring training this year. Hold on, let me go to last year. Spring training last year.
How many times did he hit leadoff last year?
He hit leadoff 14 times.
Huh, maybe he did.
Oh, no, that's the first inning. Sorry, that's the first inning. He hit leadoff once in spring training. He hit second 13 times. Wait, what?
Are you finding the right?
Oh, no, that's leading off an inning. That's
leading off an inning.
That's leading off an inning. So, no, batting first, he only played one game, had 3 at-bats as the number 1 hitter. He played 13 games, 24 at-bats as the number 2.
That was in spring training.
That was in spring training last year.
So he made one start as the leadoff guy in spring training last year.
Correct.
And this year he hasn't made any. And we want to sit here and be like, oh, there's no way he bats leadoff for the Padres. It's like you can't even in like the lineup, you can't defer anything from the lineups in spring training, let alone like some of the results of spring training. So, I mean, the Dominican Republic is playing, they're getting in warm-up mode, so they're playing competitive baseball games as much as they can, even though they're exhibitions and they're scrimmaging the Tigers right now. Although that stadium they're playing in doesn't look like that's a scrimmage. I can tell you that with the atmosphere they have for that particular game. But that being said, those games are highly more competitive, and those games have Fernando batting leadoff. I find it interesting. So, I mean, Craig Stammen had the right answer on that. It's like, hey, let him do whatever. I bet you he's having a lot of fun batting leadoff for that team. I would love to bat leadoff for that team. Italy's up 2-0, by the way, Frank.
Hey, let's go.
Beating the Angels.
You didn't have to say who they were playing. You could have just said they were up.
It doesn't count anymore.
Could have left it to the imagination that they weren't playing a minor league team, but
Hey, Team USA and Colorado are tied at 1.
Wow.
How about that?
The John Birdie 2-run homer in the 3rd inning for Italia.
Vamos. How about the Rockies?
It'd be Forza.
Getting excited. 1-1, top of the 3rd. Team USA and the Rockies.
Team USA washed. It's over.
It's over. We spoke it into existence.
Arson Fudge hit a solo home run in the 1st inning. And then it was a sac fly by Kyle Karros in the bottom of the 2nd.
Wow.
That got the Rockies their run.
Zach Agnos just struck out Bryce Harper. It's over. The walk-off is still in play for Colorado, Augie. The walk-off is still in play. All right, let's get to the other clip that I wanted to play from Craig Stammen today, and that was about the Fernando Tatis Jr. Manny playing for the Dominican yesterday, and Craig Stammen's thoughts. I mean, that was a fun game yesterday to watch between the Dominican and the Detroit Tigers. You're going to get a little bit more of that tonight with Australia and Chinese Taipei. It's a little bit of an appetizer to what the WBC is going to be coming up over the weekend because there's not as many, MLB guys on this team. But
Latin American nations do baseball right.
yeah, they have a fun time. It's
Exactly.
great. It seems like a great time. So anyway, here's Craig Stammen talking about what it was like watching Fernando and Manny yesterday for the DR.
Yeah, I saw a few highlights. We had a meeting last night. We were watching some of the game in between what we were talking about. I know Manny was very excited playing in the Dominican Republic for the first time. I know Toddy was very excited also. It just shows like what two of our best players are capable of doing when they're amped up and excited about what's going on. And it was a sight for sore eyes for all of us watching those guys perform in that way and being at their best. It was cool to see. And that atmosphere in the Dominican was amazing. Having been there for the first time this winter, it was just kind of cool to see like that atmosphere be brought to the Team Dominican Republic and in that stadium, just the raucous atmosphere. It was pretty cool to see. It makes you feel like, there should be some more baseball games in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done more of those down there. They're playing in Mexico this year. The Padres and the Diamondbacks are for 2 games. They count as home games for Arizona. And they're playing. Are they playing in England again? Are they doing that again?
No, not this year. I don't think so.
The other thing I like the Major League Baseball, what they do is the Field of Dreams game is always fun. When is that coming back? Because they're like redoing everything over there.
I don't know. Because they did the Field of Dreams game. I don't know
that
who's
this year?
got the. They also do the Little League World Series game in Williamsport.
The Field of Dreams game is back this year. I remember that. They announced that. It's the Twins and the Phillies.
The Little League Classic this year will be the Brewers and the Bravos.
Use like a pencil bat and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's always fun. Field of Dreams game, Minnesota and Pittsburgh. In Philadelphia. We thought that was going to be a good matchup. Philadelphia and the Twins? Hey, man, the Twins are still trying to win this year.
Didn't the White Sox, wasn't it the White Sox and Tigers that had that Field of Dreams?
White Sox and Yankees, I think. Yeah, I remember Aaron Judge doing. I think the Tigers won that game. Or no, it was the White Sox. It was the White. I think didn't the White Sox win that game? It was so long ago. The White Sox might have been decent still. Yeah, they haven't played that game since 2022. By the way, I can't believe it's been that long already.
Oh yeah,
it has been since 2022. The White Sox won that game.
That was That was August 12th, 2021. White Sox walked the Yankees off 9-8.
There you go. I remember that. Yeah, it was a home run by, wasn't it like
Tim Anderson?
Tim Anderson? Was that before or after he got punched by Jose Ramirez?
That would have been after he had been punched.
Wow. Tim Anderson hanging around. Do you want to know how far Arson Fudge's home run was?
Well, I mean, if Roman Anthony's home run yesterday was only 394 feet, I would have to assume that Arson's was about 210.
That'd be a terrible assumption. 453 feet.
Yeah. I believe that as much as I believe that Roman Anthony's home run yesterday was only 394.
Padres update. They have gone on to the bottom of the second inning. It's still weird because Great Britain's got a Padre pitching for him. Sean Boyle's pitching for him, and he's wearing a Padres uniform, obviously. Like, this happens a lot in these exhibition games between the WBC teams and the Major League Baseball teams. Like, you're going to see eventually when they start taking out some of the Great Britain athletes, you're going to start seeing, like, the Padres playing against themselves. There's going to be just Padre uniforms everywhere. I can't believe they didn't give Boyle a Great Britain jersey just for fun. I just can't believe it. Do they not have anybody to pitch?
No, they've got. Let me see. Hold on. They've only got a couple guys on their roster for pitcher. Yeah, they've got. Oh no, that's their bench.
I mean, they have to have. They obviously.
Oh, they've got.
pitching, but
yeah, they've got
they play this week, so I can see why that they don't want to burn up maybe some of their pitchers. They just want to get their batters some looks, which doesn't surprise me.
Their pitchers are mostly the Padres. I'm trying to count how many pitchers they have, and I'm seeing these same guys on the Padres side too. It'll take me a second before I count who's on one side and not on the other.
The Joe Musgrove update is what I wanted to get to. 1 1/3, 1 earned run, 4 hits, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. That's a pretty good bounce back.
Wow, he threw another 23 pitches or 20. Yeah, he had 26. He threw another 23, so he had 49 on the day.
They put him out there for another inning. I can't imagine they do that, but they just ended the second. We'll see what happens at the top of the third. But even if that's his final line, you take that if you're a Padres fan for sure. I like
100%.
the comeback. The velocity seemed fine. It looked better than what I was expecting it to be today. He went through a little bit of trouble in the first inning, but the second inning of work for him, he was able to get 1 inning, no runs, 1 hit, no walks, and an extra strikeout. That's a great bounce back for Joe Musgrove in inning number 2 compared to just the 1/3 of an inning that he threw in the first inning before Moreno came in relief as they did that spring training techniques.
Yeah, he struck out. Moreno came in with 1 out in the first, struck out Trace Thompson and Nick Ward. And then Musgrove came in, struck out Will Criswell, fly out by Samad Taylor, Nathan Eaton singled, then moved to second on a wild pitch, and then got Chisholm to pop out in foul territory of the third base side.
I'll take that out of Joe Musgrove. I think it's a pretty solid outing for outing number 1 in spring training. All things considered, right?
Yes,
all things considered.
100%.
It could have been a lot worse. It's going to be now a question of how he feels.
Yep.
And you're probably going to have to wait. We'll wait for the media to talk with Joe as soon as they take him out of the game to see how he feels.
But
that's
imagine.
the biggest question following that outing.
I can't imagine. He is out there to start the third.
Hey, good for Joe. It's not like as much as I want to say it's the first real game he's played in. I mean, he's been throwing the backfields. It's not like he's,
I'm surprised that they're throwing him over 50 pitches in his first game in a year and a half.
He played in a backfields game. It's not like his first game.
No, I understand that, but you can't, like I said earlier in the hour, you can't simulate what it's like to actually throw in the stadium in people, in amongst the people against players that are not of your own roster on the backfields. He's in a live game right now. So I'm surprised that they're throwing him as much as they are.
I think it's a sign that he's obviously feeling really good.
Yes.
I mean, he's now in the top of the third inning.
Just got a ground out of Harry Ford.
He's the one that knocked in the only run for Great Britain at this point,
Yes,
too. So good for Joe. We'll keep you updated on how Joe's doing. But so far, so good for Joe Musgrove. Maybe he gets 1 more batter, maybe he gets 2 more batters, who knows? But he's starting to really settle in after that first inning. And that first inning, again, was going to have the nerves of playing in another game, in a real game, in a stadium game, in front of Padres fans, right? We'll keep you updated on how Joe does when they officially take him out as we come to the next hour. Josh Nelson will join us at the bottom of the next hour. But when we come back, Griffin Canning is thrown. What could he get out of the Griffin Canning outing from yesterday in terms of his bullpen? We'll talk about that. We will also dive into a couple other baseball topics in the final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show. All right. Looks like they have made the change in the third. Padres down 1-0 in the top of the third inning. And Joe Musgrove's first outing is probably done now. But he goes 2 innings, allows 1 earned run, 5 hits, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. He gave up all the hits that he gave up are all singles. And the one that ended up scoring a run on actually went off the glove of Reyes at shortstop. It would have been a really difficult play. It's not an error. So that's the earned run. But overall, as we kind of mentioned to finish the last hour, kind of like the way that Joe Musgrove competed today, like the way he played. Most of the problems that he had in terms of like the overall stats he gave up happened in the first inning, bounces back, has a really good second, and now a pretty good third inning as well.
The only thing that I would be a little bit concerned with, and again, this is his first game in over a year and a half. He's working on things. He's getting back into the swing of things. Top of the first inning, exit velos against him, 98.5, 102, 95.7. Second inning, 98.9, 105. Third inning, 99.1. So they were tagging him. But again, he's not pitching the way he would pitch in a regular season game. That's the only thing that I would be a little bit concerned about.
I don't have any concerns with this. I like the way that the outing went. I like the way that he bounced back. The hits that he gave up were all singles. He was sitting at 95 with his fastball. Overall, it's pretty. He got 3 strikeouts. You got to be a little excited for what you could see out of Joe Musgrove in the future. And this is only outing 1. I'd love to know how he's feeling now. Really love to know how he's feeling now. But his first inning, he went a third of an inning because they did the whole you could pull him out and then put him back in thing. Yeah. So he goes a third of an inning and allows 1 earned run on 3 hits with 1 walk and a strikeout. And then after that, he had a scoreless second, pitched the entire second inning, did not allow a run, only gave up a hit and a walk and got another strikeout. And then in the last inning that he works here in the third, in the top of the third inning, he goes 2/3 of an inning and he does not allow a run, no walks, 1 more hit, gets another punch out. So overall, I think it's pretty good for Joe Musgrove. And again, Frank's not actually worried about what he said he's worried about. He's like, he said specifically, if there would be any concern.
If there was anything to worry about, that's the only thing that you could pick from this outing is that he got tagged a little bit. He got hit hard. That's literally the only thing that you can really nitpick as being negative in this.
And I don't think it's enough to nitpick.
No, not at all.
We're kind of grasping at straws for any type of negativity with the Joe Musgrove thing. I like the way that he bounced back after giving up a run in the first. I mean, that could have rolled out of control for him as well. First game back, stadium game, all that stuff. Let's talk about Griffin Canning a little bit. We're going to have Josh Nelson join us for the final segment of the show. Comedian in town, big Padres fan. Get his take on a couple of things in Padres land. But Griffin Canning looming, bullpen injuries, testing the Padres' depth in the notebook from Kevin Acee from yesterday. Griffin Canning is the rotation wild card because you don't know what you're going to get out of him until May when he becomes able to pitch. And, wait, hold on. I got to get to the biggest fan first before we dive into Griffin Canning. So, we're going to talk about Griffin Canning in a second. He threw off of a game mound for the first time this spring. We'll tell you how he did, but first, it is time for today's biggest fan. Today's biggest fan, congratulations to Jeff Jonalonis. Jeff Jonalonis in La Mesa, Jonillonis, Jonalonis. Jeff Jonalonis in La Mesa. Give us a call in the next 10 minutes at 833 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey suite at a Padres game with all the fan staff later this season, catered by Spiro's Mediterranean Cuisine. Remember to register your name at 973thefantd.com/biggest fan. All right. One says that's the fakest name you've come up with yet. How did you come up with John Alonis?
You see,
Am I pronouncing that correctly?
I put all the letters on a whiteboard and just started throwing darts. The magnetic darts.
I was gonna say that I don't think anything would stick.
Yeah, no, the magnetic darts was
okay.
And just I got to 9 letters. I'm like, yeah, that's enough.
Let's get to Braden Escondido. He's calling in, which means a couple of things, Frank. Luis Ariz must hit a home run or something like that. There's no other way. Braden Escondido probably got to tell us about what Luis Ariz did for the Giants today or for Venezuela today. Brad, what's going on, man? How's your Wednesday?
Doing well. I'm just finishing my crow sandwich, eating the crow I'm going to take on this. I love what the Padres did with the money. I'm sorry. I love to rise, but Castellanos is a great pickup and the other 3 guys. So I acknowledge I'm having my crow sandwich right now.
It's all good fun. It's all good fun. Throughout the year, Brad, when you call in, I'm just going to be like, hey, Luis Ariz going to knock? What's going on?
We still have our bet. I mean, he's going to out-hit average any Padre, and we got Carver's lunch on this, all right? You're the best, guys. And you're an up-and-coming voice in San Diego.
Well, I appreciate that, Brad. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Braden Escondido. Hey, you know what? The guy, that's a man falling on his sword.
Hey, when you're wrong, you got to admit that you're wrong.
I don't think Braden Escondido is wrong. I have a difference of opinion on how I would build my roster, and it wouldn't involve Luis Ariz.
But it takes a bigger man to admit that they might have made a mistake than to try to keep fighting when they're wrong.
100%. All right, Griffin Canning. Let's get back to this. You got to watch him pitch last year with the Mets. He looked really good until he ruptured his Achilles.
Yeah, he was solid. He was a solid back end of the rotation piece, and that competition that he had in New York, not necessarily within the organization, but having that need for big performances every single day, being on a competitive team, a team that should have been winning the division and getting into the playoffs. That said, I believe he said earlier this camp that really helped him find that next level that he needed to be at. And now he's in the same exact situation that he was in New York here. But he's also got that added bit of pushing to try to make this roster as well and try to impress, because there are guys that are behind him that will be coming up. So I think this is going to be a very, very good year for him, without a doubt.
I think we might have got our biggest fan as well. So Griffin Canning, 1-year deal worth 2.5. Frank's just creating people. He's like Smitty Wortherman Jensen. He was number 1. 1-year deal worth $2.5 million, signed with a virtual guarantee. He'll start games this season. He's working back from the Achilles injury, as we've talked about. The timeline for him, as reported by Kevin Acee, late April at best, more likely May or June. Full go throwing, but not yet fielding. That's the biggest thing for him and Jason Adam, to be honest with you. He can pitch. He's full go to pitch, but he's not full go to field and cover first base and do everything like that. Doing agility, change of direction drills is what he's currently working on. Again, no target date, but intentionally avoiding rushing at this point in time. This is a very important non-story in camp. We talked about the biggest story in camp, which I think is Joe Musgrove, and whatever Joe Musgrove does really affects how this roster plays out. One that we're not talking a lot about because he's not going to be ready until May is Griffin Canning. It's the most important non-story in camp. He might not start opening day, right? He's not going to be on the roster for opening day, but he could be one of the most important rotation additions of the season. And he gives the Padres some upside the others simply don't. The patience approach is smart with the Padres. Achilles injury can derail careers if rushed. So if he returns close to 2025 form, the form that Frank was just talking about, he immediately changes the rotation ceiling. This rotation ceiling drastically gets even higher than it already is. But again, we could talk about ceilings all we want, Frank. It's going to be, can they actually produce at this point? Because they have brought in a lot of players whose ceiling is high, but that doesn't mean the safety net of the floor is in a good spot.
No, exactly right. And a lot of these guys whose ceilings are high, if you do not take them because they did not perform, they're not going to be here. So that depth that you're seeing right now that you have is going to be gone before the end of the month comes around. So you're really hoping for you're hoping for enough people to perform to fill out the roster for opening day, and then you'll have other problems sort themselves out as time goes on this season.
When you start comparing, and we're going to talk about the bullpen here in a second. The bullpen is taking some injuries so far. But I don't think, Brian Hoeing is one of those guys that's hurt. He got a second opinion and surgery is not required, which is good news. And we've talked about the bullpen to an extent. I think the depth is being tested, but I think the depth is there for the bullpen. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But I also want to discuss further of Griffin Canning. Because Griffin Canning on this Padres team could be the safest bet, but also could be the best bet to increase the likelihood of this rotation being a playoff rotation. And in comparison to the current rotation competitors, I'm going to tell you why Griffin Canning might be the best bet heading into 2026. We'll discuss that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's Women's Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. What a weekend across the San Diego section. First-time champions, overtime drama, state titles, and now everybody turns the page to the Southern California Regionals. Let's start on the hardwood with boys basketball. Victory Christian making history as they didn't have a 20-point score all season, no double-digit rebounder, no superstar stat sheet, but they had something better, balance and toughness, as the Knights knocked down Francis Parker 57-55 at Front Wave Arena to win the program's first Open Division championship.
Yes, and congratulations to them. 3 players in double digits, forced 10 second-half turnovers, held Parker's leading scorer, Tevitt Johnson, 23.5 points per game to only 8, which is huge. TJ Humphreys had 20. Troy Tamina hit 2 clutch free throws with 17 seconds left. Role players stepped up big. Team basketball win all the way for Victory Christian.
Yeah, and here's the bigger theme. They were more physical. Parker's coach admitted it. Victory Christian didn't outstar them. They outworked them. Both teams now head to the SoCal Regionals. On to girls basketball, where Francis Parker does break through. On the girls' side, Francis Parker School got its revenge after losing last year's final. The Lancers beat Westview 66-50 to win their first Open Division title. Freshman Jordan Brown scored 23. Junior Brianna Brown dropped 25 and grabbed 8 boards. They aren't related, but they'd sure play like it. And Westview led in the third behind UC Santa Barbara Brown's Sarah Hine, who finished with 23, but Parker closed the third on a 14-0 run and outscored Westview 18-6 after Hine fouled out. Defense decided it, and that's the theme we saw all weekend. What about in wrestling?
Yeah, wrestling, Poway puts 2 on top of the state. Over in Bakersfield at the CIF Championships, Poway High School juniors Bailey Holman and Mario Carini captured state wrestling titles minutes apart from each other. Carini went back-to-back. Holman won in dramatic fashion with a takedown in the final 10 seconds. Poway finished second as a team behind Clovis Buchanan, nearly claiming the top spot. That's not just individual excellence. That is a pipeline. Slammers youth to Poway elite, to state champions. San Diego wrestling continues to produce at an elite level. Congratulations to those two,
especially the Poway Titans and their wrestling program that has been the top here, not only in San Diego, but really one of the top in Southern California each and every year. As for soccer, Division II girls soccer, Del Norte High School won its first section title in 10 years. They beat La Jolla High School in overtime 2-1. Freshman Nurika Boyanapali scored the golden goal. On the boys' side, Bonita Vista High School edged Otay Ranch 3-2 in a Metro Mesa Classic. Late game heroics, championship composure. That's playoff soccer. But when you come about the big picture, what does it say about San Diego sports? Well, are we seeing a shift towards depth over star power in San Diego high school sports? Victory Christian won without a dominant individual. Parker girls basketball won because of defensive runs. Del Norte got a title from a freshman stepping up. Poway wrestling becomes the development and culture. The old formula, get a star, ride with the star. This year's formula, culture, physicality, depth, development. It really just shows the talent that we have here in San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also how you build teams. You don't necessarily build them behind one star, because if you build them behind one star, there's a good chance that if you run up against an opponent that can shut down that one star, just in the same way Victory Christian was able to, you can run into some serious problems and not being able to score the rest of the way through. And that's exactly what we've seen here. Now you have 18 boys teams, 18 girls teams headed to Southern California regionals. The question becomes, are these feel-good stories, or are we about to make San Diego a real noisemaker statewide?
The state championships start now for a lot of these sports. I mean, wrestling's already done. They've completed their deal.
Yes.
And there's a couple other sports that are also at that point. But for soccer and for basketball, it's the state runs now. And with a lot of these state championships, the open division, you make the open division down in the sectionals, you get to play in the state regionals. So a lot of these teams that got knocked out in the open division for basketball, season is not over yet, as they're starting to seed a lot of these tournaments. And what that means is baseball and softball right around the corner. We talked about track and field. We talked about lacrosse. We talked about indoor volleyball and outdoor beach girls volleyball. But next week it's go time. We got baseball this week and softball this week in America's finest city. We'll have some great updates for you on that starting next week. $117. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. All of our guests are brought to you by SDCCU on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big banking. It is better. We got some tickets to give away tomorrow, do we not?
Yes, we do.
For
season finale
senior
for the
night
Aztecs.
for the Aztecs. Saturday's game. We'll give those away tomorrow
Friday's
at 1
game.
o'clock. Friday's game. They play on Friday?
They're playing Friday at 7.
Rough. So we have tickets to give away for that at 1 o'clock tomorrow. When we come back, we're going to have Josh Nelson in studio. He is a comedian here in town, local product from the Escondido area. He is performing on Friday. He's performing on Friday at the Comedy Store. He's going to come on, talk some Padres baseball with us to finish up the show. But we wanted to get into the Griffin Canning situation. Now, before we do that, update on the Padres game. Bottom of the fourth inning, it's 1-0 Great Britain still. And if you're just tuning in, Joe Musgrove had a pretty decent day today for the Padres. 2 innings, 1 earned run, 5 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. He had a little bit of rough issues in the beginning of the game. In the first inning, they took him out after a third of an inning, and then he came back, really battled back. And even the issues that he had, he didn't give up any extra base hits. All the hits he gave up were singles. Gave up the 1 run, which went off the glove of the shortstop for the Padres in Pablo Reyes. But again, the lineup today, not necessarily a lineup that is filled with a bunch. There's no everyday stars in this lineup. I will say this: Randy Vasquez is now coming to pitch for the Padres. Randy Vasquez has gone an inning. No hits, no runs, no errors, no walks, no strikeouts. But Randy Vasquez is now in for the San Diego Padres again. 1-0, bottom of the fourth. And we'll see if the Padres can put up some runs. But as we went to break, out of the current rotation competitors, with guys like Walker Buehler and Armand Marquez and J.P. Sears and Tristan McKenzie and Marco Gonzalez, Griffin Canning might be the best bet to really raise the ceiling for the San Diego Padres and their starting rotation. He's got a 4.78 ERA, from 2019 to 2024 with the Angels. In 2025, before the injury, 3.77 ERA in 16 starts, 76 in the third innings pitched. In half those starts, 5+ innings, two or fewer runs. Do you understand where I'm coming? You know where I'm going with this, Frank?
Where are you going?
That is exactly the profile we talked about for the Padres' fifth starter. Those are the goals that you want as a contending team for a fifth starter, right? Go 5+ innings, give up less than 3 runs or less, try to get around 100 innings pitched, and have an ERA under 4.7. That is what the average playoff team last year's number 5 starter was. And that's exactly what Griffin Canning has been. You can even look at where he was with just the Mets. He was even better than that before he got hurt. Now, you compare that to the current rotation competitors. Now, a guy like Walker Buehler, I think he has, I'm looking forward to seeing him pitch tomorrow. His ERA is a 4.93 plus. Over the last couple of years, Herman Marquez, ERA, 4.93 plus. JP Sears, ERA, 4.93 plus. Tristan McKenzie, 5 2/3 MLB innings last year. Marco Gonzalez did not pitch because he had flexor tendon. He was doing some flexor tendon rehab. Out of the group, Frank, I know you got to wait a month, but Griffin Canning might be the most stable bet of the group. And that says something about the risk profile of this rotation. I know the Padres are banking on bounce backs across the board, but if Canning hits in May, he could push some of these guys out tremendously. And if he doesn't, it definitely becomes a depth scramble. But in terms of what you're looking for in a number 5, Griffin Canning really fits the mold to help this team out. And this is a good position to be in if you're the Padres. You have a lot of guys battling for spots right now. And Griffin Canning, even though he hasn't played yet, even though he's not going to be ready till May, this is another feather in the Padres' cap should things not work out with some of the names that I've already mentioned.
Yeah, and that's why we keep saying, it would behoove a guy like Tristan McKenzie or a Herman Marquez or a Walker Buehler to pitch well, because if they don't make this roster, they're still auditioning with everybody else, and it's going to be harder for them to really stay and make an impact on this team when you have a guy like Griffin Canning, who is looming that more likely than not will be a very smooth fit and a very nice transition once he's ready to go.
I think this is a situation for the Padres where, again, the more competition they create, the better it's going to be for them to find the guy they're looking for, the number 5 spot. And again, you don't need an ace there. You need somebody that's going to get you over 100 innings. You need somebody that's going to get a 4.7 ERA or less. You're going to need somebody that gets you 5 innings a game. Less than 3 runs, you're probably in a pretty good spot. It's going to get you around a 4.7 ERA. And that is the stereotypical average outing for a number 5 starter for a playoff team. So that's what's really at stake in the rotation. Now, in terms of the bullpen, Brian Hoeing got a second opinion, surgery not required for his injury that he suffered. He will still be out for a while and will miss the start of the season. Yuki Matsui, with an adductor, hasn't thrown off the mound since February 19th. Jason Adam working back from quad tendon surgery. Those 3 projected relievers are uncertain for opening day, which opens up, I think, 2 spots. Do we think Brian Hoeing had one of those spots?
No.
I don't think so either. I think it opens up 2 spots in the bullpen, which leads to this emerging bullpen depth that the Padres have with guys like Bradley Rodriguez and Ty Adcock and Kyle Hart and Logan Gillespie. We haven't even talked about the 2 pitchers for Team Italy that are now pitching for Team Italy that are battling for spots, and Ron Marinaccio and Alec Jacob. If you start looking down or looking at what they have done so far, Bradley Rodriguez, hard thrower, legitimate upside. Very young, still has options. He's going to have to play the numbers game. Ty Adcock, another fill-in candidate for the bullpen. He was the first free agent they signed this offseason. Kyle Hart is auditioning for a Matsui-type role, right? Another left-hander back there. That's the other thing. With Matsui getting hurt and Kyle Hart maybe on the fence, you got two lefties in the bullpen. It's Wandy Peralta and it's Adrian Morejon. Kyle Hart could be that Yuki Matsui type role until he comes back. Logan Gillespie. He's somebody at the beginning of the offseason we talked about battling for a spot out of options, was supposed to start game 1 of spring training. Instead, he'd had a child. Birth of his child happened that day. And since coming back, he's looked really good. He has done a really good job in spring, but also he is 2 runs in 7 innings last season in his 2 call-ups, 4.63 career ERA in 40 appearances. He retired all 8 batters he faced on Monday, and he has retired 11 of the 12 batters he has faced this spring. And Craig Stammen has talked about the depth and options that they have for the bullpen. I mean, Gillespie is the perfect example of bullpen reality. He wasn't on anybody's opening day radar, and now he might be necessary. Championship bullpens are not just about the stars. They're about the layers to the bullpen, and he fits one of those layers. I think Logan Gillespie is right there in the thick of things. Rod Marinaccio looked pretty good before he left for the WBC, and we'll see how he does in the WBC. But there's so many battles right here, and the bigger picture of this entire thing is the depth versus projection. Fangraphs still projecting the Padres, 79 wins, largely because of rotation concerns. Rotation is still uncertain. Bullpen injuries piling up early, but organizational depth appears strong right now, and a way for them to get out of not only this early injury issue, if you really even call it an issue with the bullpen, but also I think the ceilings for the ceilings for all of these pitchers in the rotation for the Padres gives them a legit chance to win 90 games and gives them a legit chance to really outdo expectations, Frank.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think that when you see these prognosticators saying, oh, the Padres are going to win like 80 to 81 games this year, barely make it 500. No, I don't see that at all. And with how deep the pitching staff is within this organization, I cannot see a way where they're going to get bogged down to where you're seeing a Jackson Wolf coming in and pitching for an extended period of time. And especially with how this bullpen is also constructed, not just in the major league level, but in the minors as well. You have so many quality arms that is going to make the difference. If somebody goes down, they're going to be able to fill without missing too much. This could very easily be a 90-win team again this year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with trades and everything. AJ Preller's always got something up his sleeve. So we'll see. A lot of those guys still have to make the roster, too. A lot of those guys have to be added to the 40-man. There's going to be some big decisions to make. We'll keep you updated as spring training moves along. Coming up next, Josh Nelson, local comedian here in town, will join us live in studio. We're going to break down some Padres stuff with him and also find out about the show he's got coming up on Friday. That will finish up our show on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. We're inside 2 months left in the regular season, 43 days, 158 meaningful games. And here's the biggest headline. There is no dominant team right now in the NBA. 6 teams can legitimately say they're the best in basketball, and none of them feel bulletproof. And let's run it, starting with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, defending champions, still first in the West. They are very deep. They play very good defense. They close out games. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is neck and neck in the MVP race. They also have a very good chance at winning 60 games again this season. However, they're not the 24-1 Oklahoma City Thunder anymore. San Antonio has beaten them 3 of 4 games, and they are the remaining schedule is brutal offensively. Denver twice, Boston twice, New York twice. Also, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has not played since the 3rd of February with an abdominal strain, and that really has mattered.
Number 2 team that could potentially be the most dominant team in basketball is there's 6 of them that might be able to do it. Denver Nuggets. I mean, they have the highest ceiling in the league. I mean, Nikola Jokic is averaging basically a triple-double again. Jamal Murray is healthy, and he's playing his best regular season ball. And if they're whole, nobody wants that matchup. But the problem is they're not whole. They're very fragile. Worst defensive numbers also among contenders, 116 allowed. 3-6 in their last 9, and they have the toughest remaining schedule in the NBA, a 543 opponent win percentage to finish the season. This might come down to 3 head-to-head games with OKC deciding both the West and the MVP.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you look back in the East, the Detroit Pistons. Yes, the Detroit Pistons. Best team in the East. They've been the number 1 team in the East since November. They're 7-2 against Boston, Cleveland, New York. They're 20-7 against teams that are over 500. And Cade Cunningham is playing like a genuine MVP candidate. However, they've really been tested. They have not seen a Boston Celtics team at full health. Their 14 games remain. In 14 of their remaining home games are on the road. We'll know by the end of March if they're real. But right now, with Detroit, with their history, their recent history, just feels a little too early to crown them the best team in the East right now.
Cleveland Cavaliers seem to be the wild card. They added James Harden, and he's gone past first. We'll see how long that lasts, which unlocks Donovan Mitchell, who they're trying to keep during the summer. They have the easiest remaining schedule in the East with a 453 opponent win percentage. So those are all the pros of the Cavaliers potentially unlocking their chance to be the best team in the NBA. But the cons are they're still chasing Detroit and Boston in the Eastern Conference. And Evan Mobley has to show up offensively. He hasn't been there in the last handful of weeks. If Harden truly buys into the role that he is currently playing, they could be one of the most balanced teams left in the East and one that can make a run to the NBA Finals. But you got to worry about the Boston Celtics if you're the Cavs.
Yeah, absolutely. The most fascinating team so far in the league. They're second place in the East. They're on a 50-win pace, and they haven't had Jason Tatum all season. Jaylen Brown has elevated to MVP-level consistency. Joe Mazzulla might be the coach of the year. They've survived this season without their best player. However, Tatum is coming off of Achilles surgery. This isn't a sprained ankle. This does change the chemistry. And if he comes back seamlessly, I think right now is the big question. They might instantly become the favorite if they do. If it's awkward, it could possibly derail all of that momentum. And I know it's really odd to think of your best player coming back, breaking up the chemistry and derailing your whole season. But if you haven't played with him all season long, he's got to get into the swing of things with you guys more than you have to get into the swing of things with him. And that's looking like where it could go for the East. But the West has a very big surprise.
When you talk about the NBA MVP category, and we're going to get to that in a second, we talked about the other 2 teams in the Western Conference, Oklahoma City and Denver. But there's another team that's still lingering around. That's the San Antonio Spurs, and they are the scariest team right now. They have now won 9 straight games, 3 wins over OKC. Legitimately believe they can win it all. And with Victor Wembanyama and him playing like a Defensive Player of the Year lock and creeping into MVP conversations, it really sets up the Spurs to be part of this conversation. We're talking about SGA. We're talking about Jokic with the Nuggets and with the Thunder. But Wembanyama and the Spurs can not only infiltrate the Western Conference, but also add Wembanyama to the MVP race, which is something that's very scary. Now, here's the reality check, though. They haven't overtaken OKC yet, even though they've beaten them 3 times. They haven't been in playoff pressure games yet, and they're ahead of schedule, but are they really ahead of the experience? That's going to be the big question for the Spurs. And as of right now, Frank, it's still SGA versus Jokic again for the MVP race.
It does look like that, and it literally might come down to just 3 games.
On 97 through the Fan, join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not big banking, it is better. Alongside Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day on San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. We're now joined by local comedian Josh Nelson. Gonna join us for the final segment of the show. Big Padres fan. He is headlining at the Comedy Store on Friday. Got a show at 7 o'clock and 9:30 in La Jolla. Should be a fun time. We'll talk with Josh. Had to get tickets for that in just a little bit. But Josh, good to have you back in studio with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be back. Love doing this.
Look at, he's all decked out in the Padres stuff, ready to go. He's excited for the season. At this point, we've talked about this. I mean, are you still in the giddy for spring training games, or are you ready for regular baseball to hit?
I'm giddy for spring training just because I'm going. I like to go every week for a couple games, so I'm excited for that. But I'm ready for baseball. Like, let's get it started.
Ready for actual baseball?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Opening day, can't wait.
What's your favorite part about going out to Peoria? You said you've gone a lot.
Yeah, we go every year. My favorite part, honestly, is watching my nephews 8, 6, and 4 get autographs. It's the coolest thing ever. Like, one year they were just getting autographs from anybody, like the pitching, like a assistant coach was
anybody wearing Padres stuff, signing.
Yeah, the guy's like, I don't even play. They're like, we don't care. They were just collecting autographs from everybody. So I love it. It's great.
That's awesome. I haven't been to spring training since I was a kid, but the backfields are pretty cool. You get to see these guys do a bunch of drills that never normally see them do, and everything like that. But excitement level for the season, from the fan perspective, obviously. I think fans are excited for this year. I mean, Joe Musgrove pitched today, gave up 1 earned run over 2 innings, 5 hits, all singles, 3 strikeouts. Good to see him back. Randy Vasquez has been on a tear. He's gone 2 innings today with 2 strikeouts. But as much as Fangraphs are dogging us, Josh, gotta be excited for the season still.
I don't get it. I feel like we upgraded our bench, and then I can't wait for Vasquez this year. He had a good year last year, and he just didn't pitch enough. So it'll be fun to see how he is, and Musgrove's back, and the Pavetta's balling, and it'll be fun. King, I mean, it's exciting.
Let's talk a little bit about, just for people that haven't tuned in before, we're talking with Josh Nelson. He's joining us in studio. He's from San Diego. We've had him on before. He's headlining a show on Friday at the Comedy Store. That's always a big step. And for somebody that has had an interesting start to his comedy career, if you will, and for people that might not know, this wasn't like your first choice. You got dared to do it, and you got dared to go up on stage and be a comic. You're running your mouth a little bit. Like to see you do it. Well, you know what? You did it.
Yeah. 15 years ago, I went to an open mic. I was like, this is terrible. My buddy's like, you couldn't do it. And he dared me. I did it, and it didn't go terrible. And now I am 15 years later, and I'm headlining the Comedy Store, which is a bucket list thing for me. So it's pretty cool to see the full circle. And I'm from San Diego, so it's exciting. I'm pumped.
And this is your second now headliner at the Comedy Store, because the last time we talked,
Yeah.
he hadn't done the first headliner yet. In fact, when you put the headliner out, you had to reassess, because you've used that as an April Fool's joke before.
I did.
And then I don't know if it burned you or not, but then all of a sudden, then you got to actually do it. It's like, oh yeah, Josh, it's not April 1st anymore.
Yeah. So I did an April Fool's joke saying I'm headlining the Comedy Store, and everyone's like, let me get tickets. I was like, oh, it's just a joke. And then they gave me a Wednesday night, and I sold that out. And now I got a weekend, which a weekend's, that's what you're going for. So I'm excited, man. Yeah, I'm pumped.
I know you like to talk about your family a lot. Are you gonna, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but we were talking before. You led your family astray as a Padres fan with the trip that you just booked to go to Chicago. Are you gonna incorporate that? I mean, I know you involve your nephews a lot, but guy's never been to Wrigley.
No.
And he booked a trip. That should be exciting, right, Josh?
So exciting. I booked a trip to go watch the Padres play in Wrigley. I booked the flights. I talked my dad into it. He booked his flights. And then I went to book the game, and I booked the wrong weekend. I booked when Chicago's here instead of there. So I had to cancel everything and rebook it. But I mean, I had it all booked. We were going the wrong weekend.
I'm glad you caught it, because that would have been awkward. Then you would have got stuck going to the south side of Chicago, going to a White Sox game.
I know. Well, I didn't even catch it till I went to buy the tickets for the game. And that's when I was like, oh, what? So I'm a moron sometimes.
How much did that cost you on the flip?
Well, nothing.
Not
I booked it all. I canceled it all. It didn't cost me anything. It was just I had to call the family and tell them, and it was ridiculous.
Well, Ben and Woods are going to be out there, so and I know they're doing a travel package thing with a lot of the fans, so it should be a lot of Padres fans. I've been to Wrigley. It's awesome. It's one of the best parks to go to. The bars around it are super cool. It's a great time. I got to see, like, they have a bar. Have you ever heard of some of the bars around at Wrigley?
Well, I just went to Chicago for the first time ever, like 3 months ago, to see Paul McCartney play.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another thing. I booked Paul McCartney. I bought the wrong tickets for that. I bought him in Atlanta the first time and had to sell those, and then went to Chicago. So I've done this multiple times now.
This is a multiple.
Yeah, I'm not very good at traveling, I guess.
You need a traveling agent.
So we did a couple bars, but we didn't go to Wrigleyville. We just went to where the Bulls play and what is that, Target Center or something like that? And
it
used to be. I don't know what it is now.
The bar I'm talking, there's a couple. They have Cubby Bear across the street. They have Murphy's in the outfield, which is very popular. They got a place called Sluggers. Sluggers is cool because it's like a total Midwest dive bar. But upstairs they have like arcade games, but they also have batting cages. So you can theoretically just start drinking, and then if your buddies are going with your family, instead of getting dared to go do some stand-up comedy, you might get dared to say, "Oh, that's so easy. I'd go hit in the cage." They got cages that go up to 99 if you want to go out there and swing.
No. I got a funny story about that. So I went to the Louisville Slugger Museum.
Yeah, I've been there. It's cool.
And they have a thing where you can get in the batting cage, and I went and I missed like 10 in a row. And I look at him, I go, what is this going, like 80, 90? He's like 40. I was like, oh. So then I was embarrassed. I go, I don't know about the cages, but I'll try it out, especially after a couple beers for sure.
We got Josh Nelson, comedian, joining us here for the final segment of the show. He's got a gig on Fridays headlining the Comedy Store. And we'll tell you how you can get tickets to that in just a little bit. He's going to headline on Friday. He's got a show at 7 and a show at 9:30. I do want to talk more about just your comedy in general. I mean, obviously, family's great. Like, we use that on the radio. A lot of things of telling personal stories to relate to the audience. You do that in a funny way, obviously, but when you how much sports do you kind of throw in there? Do you do more some Padres or local sports when you're here in San Diego specifically? Do you throw it because you're a big sports fan? You like the Padres, like Aztec basketball. You're very passionate on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you made Mike Schultz retire just based on your tweets at him.
I had to delete Twitter. I got off of it. I deleted Twitter. I was like, this isn't a good look. So yeah, just shouting at everything. I have a couple sports jokes, but nothing so much about the Padres. I just get so passionate about them that it's hard to write funny jokes. But I got a couple sports jokes, but that's really it. Those are just general, rec softball league and high school football jokes and that kind of stuff.
How would you would you consider yourself to have a certain genre of comedy? Like, do you think about it from that way, or is it just life experience and that's kind of funny? I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. The way you describe it's just observational. It's like 90% true, 10%, a little bit of exaggeration. It's about my nephews, my family getting old, which is, everybody can relate to. And then dating and, before I had a girlfriend, now I have a girlfriend. It's just, it's like you got jokes based on how bad I was at dating. And now it's how bad I am with a girlfriend. So it's just, stuff like that.
You had some pretty good ones that you've posted on social media about like the dating scene in general with like the swiping and all that fun stuff. Do you still use those now that you have a girlfriend, or did you just go like back when I was dating?
Yeah.
Like, because it's still part of your arsenal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to go away from it.
No. I'll talk about it. I talk about how bad I was at dating before I finally got a girlfriend. So yeah, you use them still. You just got to qualify that, you got to like be consistent. You can't be like, oh, I'm single. And then at the end be like, oh, I have a girlfriend. So you just got to be like, before I had a girlfriend, I was bad. I was so bad at like the dating sites. I ran out of swipes, like stuff like that. They just were like, you're done. So I was like, all right.
Hey, Frank, what do we think? Sam Levitt, obviously, he is our pre and post game guy. We had him on the other day, and people in the chat were dropping in. Well, he's got his Tinder date. And I was like, what is this? I'm trying to interview Sam, and the chat that you can see now in front of you is just something about Tinder, whatever.
People talking smack.
They're calling him. What did they call him? Swiping Sammy?
Sammy Swipes.
Sammy Swipes.
Okay, he's on Tinder a lot.
Because apparently during the show the other day, the chat caught him in the act of swiping as he's doing a talk show.
That's hilarious.
So I mean, the guy's obviously he's getting after it a little bit. So do you got any advice? Let's get some advice for Sammy Swipes. I mean, he's got the nickname Sammy Swipes. I don't know if he pays to make sure he doesn't run out of swipes like Josh Nelson did.
Yeah. I mean, just keep going, I guess. I don't know. Make your miles, 100 miles, swipe on everybody. I don't know. I guess that's the way to do it.
So how did you brought your girlfriend with you? How'd you guys meet?
She works at the comedy store. So actually, funny story. The very first time I ever talked to her, I guess I yelled at her. I don't remember, but it was the Dodgers playing the Padres when they knocked us out of the playoffs.
Oh,
and
no.
I was on stage during that game watching. I was actually watching the game on my phone. It was on the stool.
I gotta ask a serious question.
Yeah.
Isn't that dangerous? To like how do you lock back into just doing your show and not like being upset obviously about your favorite sports team going down? Because that could really mess with people about to jump on air, right?
Yeah, well, I got off stage right when the 9th inning happened, so I was watching it kind of just on my phone while I was performing. I know everyone's like, "What's he looking at?" I just kind of kept glancing at it.
You know, it's better than getting caught swiping while you're on.
Yeah,
while you're doing an act.
At least I was watching the Padres game. And then I got off stage and the Dodgers were celebrating because they just beat us. And I guess I looked at her. I was like, somebody turn this off. And she was like, the first time you ever talked to me, you yelled at me. I was like, I wasn't yelling at you. I was just yelling in general to turn the TV off. I didn't want to see him celebrating. So, yeah, I get in trouble watching the Padres a lot. I got in trouble one time for texting and driving, and I was watching the Padres game. Like, just, Was
the cop not a Padres fan?
No, he wasn't. I told him. He goes, "Are you texting and driving?" I goes, "No, I was watching the Padres game." And I thought that would get me off.
Oh,
No.
that's probably not not the answer.
Yeah, he
there.
goes, "I'm not from San Diego."
Oh, you're supposed to be unbiased too.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so you met her at the comedy store.
Yep.
And then, aside from yelling at her, that probably wasn't the best way to ask her out. What led to more of that?
It took like another year of me just, wearing her down and then her finally going out with me. And then I asked her out the night that I headlined the comedy store the first time. I was a big deal enough and asked her out, and she said, yeah. And it's been fun since then.
That was the extra confidence you needed. The
that's all I needed.
Saw your name on the marquee at the comedy store. That's great. We're talking with comedian Josh Nelson. He's headlining again on Friday at the comedy store in La Jolla. He's got a show at 7. That one's almost sold out, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like if you want to get to 7 o'clock, you got to go quick.
Yeah, I was told the 7 o'clock only has a couple tickets left, which is amazing. Awesome. Thank you, San Diego. And then the 9:30 show's got some tickets. So yeah, I'm excited. These things are fun because you headline them and you're so excited, but then you go, oh, I got to sell tickets. And so then you're nervous for that. And you're like, there could be just 20 people in the crowd and then they never book you again. So I'm excited. It's going well so far. And I'm pumped for it.
Got to get to the 7 o'clock, 9:30. Trying to get that one sold as well. So, go to La Jolla, have some dinner, and then have the comedy show for dessert. It's a great time. It's a fun experience too. And the cool thing about it is, and a lot of comedy places are doing this, but phones away.
Yeah.
They take your phones, and you got to be locked in. And it's usually a fun time. But I love that venue, and I have never performed there. But I've been to a couple of your shows there, and it's really a fun environment to do comedy. I would imagine it's probably a great place for comics to do comedy too.
It's one of the top 5 clubs in the country, according to the comics. They love it. It's like Denver and here, and it's one of the best. The low ceilings are good. The phones are gone, so people are paying attention. It's just the laughs are hard. It's one of the best places to perform. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great place. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go see Josh coming up on Friday. But a couple other things I wanted to talk about with you and just kind of pick your brain on, obviously, and get your comedic expertise. But you got the girlfriend thing now, and we talked about the Sammy swipes and some of that stuff. But I got to ask because, I already had somebody in the chat mention it. It's true. We have a lot of local people on. A lot of local athletes on when they come into town. And we always got to ask the food questions. Where the best spots are in San Diego for food. And then it kind of is a 2-part question because I got one for you to help out Sammy swipes. But when you have you lived here your entire life, or did you ever spend any other time elsewhere?
I lived here except for college. I left to go to Colorado State.
Right, you went to Colorado State.
Yeah.
When you came home from Colorado State, when you come back from doing gigs outside of San Diego, what's the first thing you got to eat?
I get a carne asada burrito or In-N-Out. Those are the 2.
You got to pick one. You only get to have one now.
Carne asada burrito.
That has been the answer out of everybody.
Yeah.
That we have had on. We have had on multiple professional soccer players. We have had on so many guys from Major League Baseball, and everybody says the same thing. Where is the correct answer for the carne asada or California burrito?
See, I grew up in North County. My spot's Cheetos.
Okay.
It's the bomb, but I also like, Sombreros right off in PB. There's a bunch. PB is like 20 of them.
Everybody's
Don
got
Carlos's taco shop's delicious. Like, there's a bunch of spots. I love it.
The taco shops are the best.
Yes.
They're 100% the best. And so you get a carne asada burrito. What do you put the pico in there?
No, I do meat, cheese, sour cream only. So I know everybody always judges me for that.
It's all right.
Every time I
prefer
order, people just make fun of me. You're like, I'll just eat it the way I like it.
I don't need the pico on there.
Plain. I like it plain.
Anti on the pico. I had to ask the question the other day on the show about what makes a California burrito, and I was like, aside from the fries, there's fries in there, what the legit version of a California burrito is ingredients wise.
I think it's just the fries, meat, cheese, and then they put pico or salsa or something in there.
Yeah, and every place has a little. I always have to ask because every place has different. Some places put guac on it, some places don't. Some places put sour cream on it, some places don't. It's always all over the place. To me, the best is because I'm like you, John. I'm going to get something I want my way.
Yeah.
So I go with the carne asada burrito or a California burrito. Carne asada, sour cream, cheese, guac.
See, I'm the same thing, but no guac.
You're not a guac guy?
And the other thing,
for a North County guy, not being anti-avocado is a little. That's a foul.
See, I love guac with chips, but I don't like it on my burrito. I don't know why. It's the texture. I don't like the soggy texture. Another thing I noticed is for me, if I order a California burrito and then take ingredients off, it's cheaper than if I order a carne asada burrito and then add ingredients. Money, like the way they'll like just add, they'll charge you for sour cream and stuff. Then, so you got to order one and then take stuff off.
I had a situation the other day, and my girlfriend got mad at me for complaining about it on the radio, but I think I'm justified in this complaint. I went to a place. I did not announce the place's name because I was disgruntled with said place, but they make gigantic burritos, and I got one of their burritos that comes with carne asada, sour cream, cheese, and guac. I get the burrito. I didn't get any modifications of any kind. No modifications, nothing. I get the burrito. And I take a bite. They added to all of those ingredients beans and rice. I refuse to eat burritos with rice in them. I can't stand it. I lost my mind with the burrito with the rice in it. I'm like, I can't even eat this. This is disgusting.
Yeah.
What a waste. It was like a $20 burrito too.
Yeah.
They're massive. And I was looking through and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I screwed up. Maybe I didn't look at the ingredients.
That's how nice
enough.
you are.
Right? I looked to give him the benefit of the doubt. I was right. I'm like, am I justified to be upset about somebody putting extra stuff in my burrito that I did not order?
Yes, I hate it. You're so nice. You thought it was your fault.
You know what? Because I've done that before.
I would have gone right back through the drive-thru and had them do it again.
I didn't realize until I got home and I was eating it. I'm like, it's over now.
You know what they do to a lot of the times to me? Because I'll say just meat, cheese, sour cream only, and they'll put bean, cheese, sour cream sometimes. They'll just mishear you, and you're like,
People trying to guess. They've been trying to guess what the place is. For San Diego, real quick, to help Sammy Swipes, best date spot in San Diego.
I used to go to a spot called Costa Brava. It's in Pacific Beach. It's a little Spanish tapas place, and it's under the radar. It's romantic. It's good. It's a good spot.
We're talking with Josh Nelson. We're about to end the show. He's a comedian that's headlining at the Comedy Store. How can people get tickets to watch you at 7 and 9:30?
Go online to the Comedy Store website, or there's a site called ShowClicks that they send their tickets through. Don't buy them through a secondary market. I saw like Vivid Seats is selling tickets for $100. I'm not worth $100. Just go to the website. It's on ShowClicks. By the way, these comments are hilarious. People like to talk smack on there.
They do. They're talking. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We get distracted. So thanks again for showing up, Josh. We appreciate it. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with the Padres. I might see you Friday.
Yeah.
I'm
would
convinced.
love it.
My friend's like, I asked her and I was like, you want to go to a Comedy Store? And I'm like, sure. She's like, sure.
Let's do it.
So I might see you at 7 o'clock. I'm going to get some tickets right now before it sells out. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. It's been the Braden Surprenant Show. Gwen and Chris coming up next. San Diego's number sports station, 97 through the Fan.
Padres, Cubs, Cactus League Baseball